Good evening. Welcome to the school committee meeting of Monday, June 11th. Tonight, we have quite a lengthy agenda. We're privileged to have our administrators from our schools, our programs, and also to start out tonight's meeting with an update from Mr. Baggett, our OHS music director, who we all witnessed a graduation, the wonderful job he did, and the more compliments are coming in from the outstanding job throughout the Memorial Day activities and everything at the end of the year. So, Mr. Baggett, please.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your introduction. I would like to, oh, you found another chair, good. I'd like to introduce two of my officers, my band captain and band lieutenant, Laura Holmes and Lauren Pushes. They're going to tell you a little bit about what this table is all about over here. And if you have any questions, I'm going to follow up with some statements, if it's okay.
Oh, go right ahead, sir. You have the floor.
Captain?
Ladies?
Well, this year we went to New York City for our band festival. It was at Riverside Church, and the 4 awards in the middle and the front are the ones that we brought home this year, plus like a 5th mention that we got. Band brought home a gold in first place, and chorus brought home a gold. Do you want to do the ones?
We also got the 2 larger trophies in the middle, which were the Adjudicators Award, which we got for having scores higher than 90 from the judges.
92, dear.
92, sorry.
And, excuse me, I'm not sure, to our television camera, is it possible to get a shot of that table?
It's all right.
It's on right now, thank you very much, good. It's impressive
Very impressive.
to look at that, and I thought it was like, that's over the course of a year, but that's a lot. So please continue.
And then we also got the Outstanding Band Group Award, which means we got the highest scores out of all the concert bands there, even the ones that were ranked in a higher category than us.
So wonderful.
We also got invited to the Festival of Gold, which is the 5th time Oxford School's been invited?
Third time.
Third time?
Third time in 5 years.
Third time in 5 years we've been invited. So that's an achievement.
The Festivals of Gold are limited to those organizations, bands and choruses only, that receive gold medals at the festival, and you only compete against other gold schools, obviously. The level of adjudication is a lot higher here, and the venues are just spectacular. Riverside Church was nothing to sneeze at for this, but it was just absolutely gorgeous. If you've never been there, if you go to New York, go to Riverside Drive and check this place out. It's built by the Rockefellers, by John D. Rockefeller, and he wrote a check for it, and so it was built the way he wanted it to be. But as a place to play, it was a wonderful experience for the kids. I would like to emphasize that these 2 young ladies here are typical of the kinds of people we have in the band and the chorus. They are leaders, they are bright, they are courteous. These people have graduated, they didn't have to come back tonight, but I asked them and they said, sure. And that's the kind of folks we get in the band and the chorus year after year. We start the year off every year in the band particularly at a level of about a 7th grade band. And this year was particularly remarkable in that we started off at a low 7th grade band level. And if it hadn't been for the generosity of spirits of a few of our students in the band willing to switch instruments so that we could have a full band, we would not have been able to go on a trip and have a concert band competition. The kids will step up and do anything it takes. The seniors that graduated this year, half of them I started at the high school. They probably had an introduction at the middle school to the instrumental program, but half of them were started in grades 9 or 10 or 11. This last week, I started 7 brand-new students at the high school. And I'm working with Mr. Libera at the middle school now, and we're going to try and develop a program whereby we can get some clarinets and cornets or trumpets donated from people who have them in their homes, not being used, so that we can encourage participation in the instrumental deficit section of the band. Clarinets particularly have fallen out of disfavor for the last few years. It comes in cycles, but we'd like to get that cycle started again where we could have a full concert band. With the 4 clarinets I started this year, we might have a chance, but it'll be 2 years before they're at a level of performing. I know I'm getting wordy and I'm going on. My plea to the town is if you have any band instruments that are just lying around and you'd like to donate them to our program, we would just love to have them. And by our program, I mean middle school, high school, in anything you've got. We can put them to good use, dust them off, and we'll take them in any condition. But for that table over there, the oldest one is 1998. I came here in 94, 95 I was full-time, and our first program was to Quebec City. We went up there, and then we visited all of the other major East Coast Canadian cities in the intervening years, Quebec, Montreal, Toronto. But then somebody got the bright idea that you had to have passports, and so it becomes a little pricey to do it now. Even though we'd love to go up there again, we're sticking to our East Coast. We've done most of the major East Coast cities, New York, help me out here, Williamsburg, Annapolis, Washington, D.C.,
That's all of ours.
Allentown.
Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Allentown, Pennsylvania. We've hit them all, and these kids come back, and they bring this stuff with them, and it's about time that the town saw and could have a little bit of appreciation of the, what do they call it, the bling that we bring back to the school. I'm particularly proud of our program here. With the limited resources that all of the programs in town have for what they have to do, we do as much as anyone, and I'm just so proud of what the kids do to make it happen. I couldn't be, I could go on and on about what specifically they do, but I'm running over my time already. And I'd just like to thank you again for giving us the opportunity to go out of town and show people what Oxford's got. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to take them now before we retreat.
Thank you, Ms. Knight.
So when you travel to these other towns or cities, how do you fundraise to provide the busing? How are you getting the money to get to these?
Almost all of our funds come through the parents' bank books. Every child has the opportunity to engage in several fundraising activities. Beaver's Chocolates, if I can say that, selling frozen pies. We've done dances, we've done pancake breakfast, just you name it. But a lot of kids are reluctant, for whatever reason, to participate in all the programs, and they are assured by mom and dad, that's okay, dear, we'll take care of you, which is okay for them. But everyone has the opportunity to pay their own way, like this one here.
Yeah.
How many pies did you sell?
I sold like 21 pies and 9 boxes of chocolate.
And each box has, how many, 52
52,
bars in
yeah.
it, so this kid worked.
$30.
You didn't do badly either.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Very good. Just very briefly, Superintendent could get that on the scroll, his request for instruments on the website. Absolutely. And any help that we can give out there, much appreciated, and, you know, you do a wonderful job, and thank you. Thank you, ladies, for coming back.
Thank you for
And get the
inviting
word out.
us.
Sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Our next item deals with unfinished business, and Mr. Superintendent, I think you have something very good for us tonight, don't you?
I do, Chairman Coonan. Public schools are funded, and most of our budget goes to salaries. And we have 4 different unions that are represented amongst the schools, and the largest is the OEA, the Oxford Education Association, which is made up of our professional staff. And as everyone knows, the last several years have been difficult, to say the least. And in 2010, the OEA led the way and took a 0%, a true 0%, freezing steps and lanes, so that the town could get by on tough times. In 2011, they also took a 0. And so this is the first attempt at negotiating a normal 3-year contract. And because of our level 3 status, which means our AYP and our MCAS results are not where they should be, that we had to work closely with the OEA to collaborate. And I want to thank the school committee and the negotiating team of Mrs. Ennis and Mr. Peterson for all their hard work this spring. And I'm very pleased that the incoming president-elect of the OAA could be here tonight at last minute to rearrange her plans, because it is significant, I believe, that everybody understand what it takes to negotiate labor contracts in this day and age. And we had cooperation, and we had a commitment from everybody to do what's right for the students in this town. And I firmly believe that with this contract in place, and of course, once the largest contract is in place, the others are much easier to negotiate. And so we are entering next year, which starts July 1st for us, fiscal 2013, with all of our contracts complete. And because of the timing of the ratification, the town elections were, I believe, May 15th, and then the OEA ratification vote took place on May 22nd. So we do have a completed contract, and I wanted to have the school committee sign the 3 documents that make up the contract, and we then can have Amy Bellhumer, who is one of our outstanding teachers at OMS, and also the president, to sign as well.
Mrs. Ennis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Being part of that negotiating team, I just wanted to share with everyone that it was probably one of the best negotiations this district has ever witnessed. We took a new road. We were more collaborative. Even the MTA representative was very pleased, I think, in more ways than one, of how well we worked together. And I, too, thank Mr. Peterson. I think the collaboration between the school committee and the MTA was one that should be awarded, truthfully, because of how well everything went. And if there was ever a standard that needed to be written, I think we wrote it. So in saying that, I think that the teachers, I've talked to quite a few, very happy, very pleased with what's before them. We did, like I say, we took a new road, a new avenue, and everything that we did wholeheartedly. Nothing was done by the seat of our pants. We thought about the kids, we thought about the teachers, we thought about the community. We took everything into account. And I also want to say that our superintendent, having had the school committee to work with him, he took a great step of faith, I think, with all of us, and we with him. So it was a mutual give and take. So I just want to let everyone know publicly, since I was on that negotiating team, that it was, and I've been on 3, I think, 2 or 3, and that this one was far and wide the very best. So thank you, Mr. Superintendent, also through the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis. I just have, as we're getting ready to sign this contract, I do have to make a disclosure. The fact that I am employed by the Worcester Public Schools, and I am a member of the MTA, that I feel that I filed a letter today with the town clerk stating that I will be voting on these matters, but just as a matter of fact, there is no appearance of conflict of interest where I belong to the MTA, but I belong to the bargaining group of the EAW, the Educational Association of Worcester, and Oxford bargains under the OEA, or Oxford Educational Association. So I will be signing, but I just want to make that disclosure to the public as well. And then secondly, I have to thank Mrs. Ennis' leadership, and Mr. Peterson, the hard work that went through that, and transitioning onto the school committee. As I met with the superintendent, all he kept talking about was this contract, on how everything just worked. Is that it was a time when there was both parties were together, and all of a sudden things just worked out, and it's one of these times when everyone leaves happy. So I applaud Mrs. Ennis for that, and Mr. Peterson. I'm sure you're watching at home. Anyone else? We'll make some signatures.
There are 3 pages to sign. The committee signs on the right-hand side, and all of these will then be duly entered into the contract. And if Mrs. Bellhumer is out there, she can come up and sign as well. On the left-hand side at the top.
Up here?
We'll bring him up to you. We'll have Zach bring him up.
Zach, you mind running?
Thanks,
Thank you.
Zach.
Superintendent, you have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Kuhn. And I also just wanted to take a quick opportunity to thank Mrs. Kathy Cassavant for all of her due diligence and her hard work on behalf of the professional staff. Kathy and I got to know each other very well over the last several years, and I can honestly say that I believe she counts me as a friend now, and I certainly have the utmost respect and count her as a friend as well. So I did want to make sure that everyone understood that of her significant contributions as president of the OEA. And Amy takes over, I guess, July 1st.
I guess so. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you again. Our next order of business is have approval of minutes from May 21st, 2012, and all members were present. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll accept the motion.
Second for discussion.
Moved and seconded for discussion. Mrs. Ennis, discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After review of the meeting on May 21st by replay on our local cable channel, we all know that the meeting was called to order by our superintendent, and Mrs. Gauscher made a motion without being recognized by our superintendent, who assumed the position of chair as the committee was following procedures to reorganize. The committee has followed Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure for as long as I can remember. During any meeting, no one should speak until they are recognized by the chair or whoever is presiding the meeting at the time. I do question today the validity of this vote. I sought the guidance from Glenn Kuchar, the director of MASC, and he did advise highly that we all wait until recognized by the chair and should not speak out of turn, according to Robert's rules. As you are aware, Mr. Chairman, these procedures need to be followed. They are significant and have purpose and structure. So my point of that is I would like that statement in our meeting minutes, and I'll pass that to Mrs. Ravelli. But as a point of order, I think that we need to understand that you need to be recognized. You can't just speak out of turn, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you, Ms. Dennis. Ms. Goshen.
This was my first school committee meeting. I have not, at that time, received any training as to the procedure and the protocol. So I do apologize if I spoke out of turn. I have now attended the proper training, and I don't see this being a problem again. Thank you.
Any other comments? Mrs. Walker.
In regard to the minutes, they do not reflect the sequence of events, and anyone who watches it on television will notice that it does not follow the sequence of events. I spoke earlier in the course of the meeting, and I mentioned that having served as a selectman, I appreciated serving on this committee. Later on in the course of the meeting, the previous chair spoke, and the minutes show that she spoke first. And my comments were preempted, and I don't appreciate minutes that don't reflect what happened. Either everything we say goes on the record, or nothing goes on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, about my comments from this, I believe that I actually would entertain a motion if someone would withdraw the motion in second. I'd like to send these minutes back and have them reprinted so that with the board members' concerns duly noted. Mr. Superintendent, please.
As you wish.
Okay. With the motion be withdrawn as well as a second.
Second. Straw.
Withdrawn. Thank you. We have no action. Thank you. Away. Our next item of business, under new business, we tonight want to talk about some summer reading. We're getting to the summer months, and we want to start with the summer reading list. And Mr. Superintendent, do you want to start with the elementary schools?
Sure. We have the administrators here this evening. This is a busy meeting, but it is an opportunity for the school committee to look at the summer reading lists, the school improvement plans, as well as any handbook changes, so that we can get the committee's approval on those. And so, probably as we usually do, we seem to always start with the elementary schools and then go to the middle school and then the high school. So, you can certainly call Mr. Yvonne.
Mr. Yvonne and
Mrs. Daly.
Mrs. Daly, thank you.
Good evening. Before you have a packet. They're color-coded by grade, so that makes distribution for us a little easier. There is one for each grade entering grade 1, 2, 3, and grade 4. Aligned with MCAS and preparing our students for higher level reading, we ask that they read both fiction and nonfiction material over their summer, their choice, and then they complete the assignments that are compiled in the packet. This is a process that Oxford has used for some years with some updating, investigating not only comprehension and a summary, but new vocabulary and their writing skills as well.
Same reading program we've used over the past few years with the projects that the students are putting together, differentiated based on their age level and ability, and a recommended list of authors for the parents as opposed to specific books to have them read so that the children can read at their interest and at their level. And information for our second graders is also gone home around Lexile scores, so that if the library that they're going to is Lexile, they can use that as well as a means of helping them choose a book that they can read on their own, or for our first graders, that their parents can read with them as well.
The students will get a hard copy with your approval. They'll get a hard copy at the end of this school year. It'll be posted on our website as well as available at the Oxford Public Library.
Mrs. Ennis, and then Mrs. Riley.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'm just curious as to any problems getting books. Do the kids have any problems getting a book in through the library? No?
We
No.
have not heard
You haven't heard
any
anything?
problems, any parents saying they can't get to the library and get a book, or get to the library and read a book.
Just, sometimes they choose the same book and it runs short. The other, we've used this program in the past. Are we going to continue with this for a while, or are we going to be looking at a new program for summer reading in the upcoming summer months, seasons?
To align to Common Core, we will be
Okay,
changing, editing a bit.
you will be, okay. The only request I would have of that is maybe you could tell us about it beforehand, so we could see what was up and coming before this date of this meeting, But thank you. This always seems to go well, so thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome. Mrs. Ravel.
Am I understanding then there'll also be, you said a hard copy, a list of books then given to children?
Not a list of books. Within the packet, there should be a list of authors suggested for them to read. But
That we don't see here.
there is no specific book.
Right, but there's
That's required.
a list of authors that,
There should be.
that's not here, that will be,
Yes, it will be
okay.
provided.
Thank you, that was it.
As a mom of 5, at the end of the school year, when everyone comes home with this, it gets lost. And I ran into this problem last year with my son. Are the parents going to be able to, if they lose this, print this off of our website?
Yes.
They'll be posted as PDF files on the website.
Okay.
And we can make sure that it's both on the district website under summer reading. We can put a link under the school website under summer reading, so no matter where they go.
Okay, thank
they can
you.
grab it.
Just one comment. Obviously, both my girls have gone through this program, and I can't compliment it enough. The working relationship that the Oxford Public Schools has with the library is simply amazing. So, like Sarah's question over there. When I walked in there, I was the same, like, look, my wife sat me down to get books. And with the girls, this one's pretty neat, this one's pretty neat. And she's like, no, you realize this is what you have to follow. And they really did a nice job reeling us in, something appropriate, but then also creating conversations with the child to see what their interests are. And I just can't speak more highly of that, and the coordination effort that must go on with the, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
I'm afraid to talk, I might have to write it down.
No, you're all.
Rolling through, or
You rolling?
Are we doing
We're going to go to summer reading for the middle school and then high school.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, let's stay on topic of summer reading. Welcome again.
Nice to be back. Thank you. Seems like we did this just a short time ago, not a whole year ago. In your packet, for the middle school, each child will receive, upon your approval, this brochure that will go home. And on the front where it says, "Place sticker here," we have already placed the sticker there, identifying for each child their Lexile range, so that when they go into the actual list of books and authors, they know where their range is, and 10 points below or 10 points above is a comfortable range for them, either all completely on their own or with assistance of an adult.
Mrs. Hack, could you, a lot of us know what the Lexiles are. Could you just give maybe a quick snapshot for someone watching at home saying, what is a Lexile score?
Sure.
Please.
For the past several years now, we have been involved in MAP testing, which is measures of academic progress. We test 3 times during the school year, in the fall, in the winter, and again in the spring. And through that testing, the ELA reading piece identifies each child's reading lexile range. It is the area at which they will read and comprehend successfully. Instead of what so many school districts have done in the past, is to give a list of 5 books and, you choose 3, but not necessarily looking to see the actual reading level and comprehension level of students. So our list looks very long. Obviously, not every child can read every book on this list, but all of our children do know their lexile. And as soon as they take the window for map, printed within the front cover of their student planner is a grid on which they can record this. However, we know that children may lose track of that planner, so that's why we're sending this home with them. And it does have a sticker. Our Mrs. Devon, our media center coordinator, has taken quite a bit of time to print them all out and to attach one for every child in our school. And upon your approval, this is what our children will take home. The booklet with all of the reading titles and lexile ranges and the projects will be posted online. This was too extensive to print out a copy for every child. We have 700 children. For them to lose it or misplace it and have to come back and find another. So we found the most efficient use of our resources, being the paper could be limited and just to be economically frugal, was to post this portion online and then to send, this is also posted online, but this is what they would take home. In the event that they lose track of the folder or the brochure, there is a contact so that we have a recording of every child's lexile range so that that can be accessed.
Mrs. Rebellion.
So then, my understanding is all of the books listed here, they have to choose from these books. And these books are online? There's no hard copy?
Well, you could purchase these books online or you could download them, but
the list
is online. The list is online.
So the list is only online. So my concern really would be for parents who may not have access.
We have about 50 copies for people who don't have access to a computer,
Okay.
but it is also available at the public library.
At the library. Okay, so if they went and talked to the, whatever, children's librarian, they would have
Plus,
the
they could
list of-
access it there on their computer.
And how do parents know that? Does a note go in this when it goes home?
Once this is all approved by you, the whole packet will go home.
And there's a note saying where they can find those things, that's all. That's my only concern.
Yes.
And what Mrs. Ennis was referring to earlier, again, nothing really has changed then. I didn't see any new books or new projects or anything like that. Would your case be the same then for next year? That it may change depending on the
Well,
updating to the new
actually,
Common Core, or no?
Since we started with this particular list, we have found children who have had either higher lexile ranges or lower lexile ranges than we had originally had on our list. And so each year, as that particular potential may arrive, we have added both to the top of the list and to the bottom of the list. And in the event that there is a child who has read everything on that list in his or her range, then you can access Lexia.com and find other books in that range that would be acceptable. We worked pretty much off of the Mass Frameworks list of approved books and then what teachers had suggested, and in some cases that parents had suggested.
Thank you.
Anything else? Board members? Very good. Thank you. And we'll move on to Mr. Wells and Mr. Nugent, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I think you have your packet before you. As you can see, the first actually 2 pages. It's not in rubric form, but it clearly delineates the expectation of the summer reading report for grades 9 through 12. It's been up on our website for about 3 weeks to a month. That will be available all summer long. We will make copies available for the 8th graders so that they can take them home should they choose to. and they will be at the Oxford Public Library. The list of books that students may read is pretty vast and expansive. If you notice to the left, it has the author's name, it has the book, and then for the parents, it has a brief summarization of the spirit of the spirit of the content of the book. We have had discussions. We're going to have a committee this year. I know that Mrs. Ennis had asked this question of one of the previous principals, and we're looking into the potentiality, rather than having it strictly English. Many of my colleagues in the area, their schools, depending the grade level, it might be a math project to do with financing, it might be a history project, so we're looking at potentially using other projects than just reading.
Mr. Wells?
Sure.
In your opening paragraph, talk about the grades. So this summer reading goes into the to students' ELA grade?
Correct, correct. So, in each particular grade level, once we start the new year, and quite frankly, we find that a lot of people come back and they're not prepared for this. So we try to provide an opportunity, friendly reminders, and the teachers try not to hold it against them too much.
Thank you. Mrs. Ennis?
Thank you. How would the student choose their project? Would the...
You're talking about in the future? We really haven't gotten to that far.
Okay.
I'm just
all right.
kind of giving you a briefing on that we're going to pull a committee together.
Yeah.
In my discussions with the teachers as we were looking at our list this year. And quite frankly, it's kind of universal. I'm sure Mr. Coonan and North, if you go with just a reading list at the high school level, it's the English teachers all the time that are the ones. So again, a lot of schools have gone to the 4 major departments and had different types of projects for the kids to do. So-
And Mr. Ball, sometimes you're right. Sometimes it becomes a burden on the ELA department as well, too. When they're trying to track the kids down, that they look at as another piece of work, if you could share that wealth out there.
Exactly.
appreciate it.
And that's the spirit of the intent behind it with a lot of schools.
Dr. Soch.
Mr. Wells, I was honestly surprised that there was only one book for the kids to read at high school level, where the other grades have 2 up to 5 books to read. Is it because, could you explain to me why at a high school level the kids are only required 1 book to read?
Well, I think that in speaking to the English department, which truthfully are the true professionals when it comes to that, it's the depth and the breadth of the reading, comparatively speaking, to the level of reading on some of the other levels. So that's what, they felt would be best.
Thank you. Anything else from the committee? Ellen? Very good. Thank you. Okay, at this stage, we have reviewed all the summer reading lists. Mrs. Ennis?
I was just going to make a motion to accept. Okay. I
Motion.
make a motion to accept the reading programs for elementary, middle school, and high school.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion, I have a second. I'll call for the vote and discussion, I'm sorry.
Clara Barton, did I miss that?
Clara Barton was part of
It was.
the elementary school.
So Mr. Yvonne addressed that?
Mr.
Okay.
Vaughn and Mrs. Daly talked to those points,
Okay.
yes.
I was looking for Mr. Bernie, that's all. All right, great.
Okay. Anything else? All those in favor of accepting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Being none? 5 in affirmative. Thank you again for your hard work, and don't leave, we still have a little more business. Okay. So the kids are all set, they have their reading books now. We'll talk about the next year, the school improvement plans. And you want to do it in the same token as before, we'll go with the elementaries and work all the way up to the high school. Mr. Ebon.
Hello again.
Please.
I believe you have in your packet a copy of the, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Let's do this about,
What color is it?
It may not be color, I don't
Just
know
have a
if
picture of
Mrs.
JP on it.
white.
Picture
Copy
Chafee
the
in
color
there.
should be white.
Need them to be color-coded. Where are we? Oh, front school. No?
Front cover looks just like this.
I got it.
Oh, I remember that one, okay.
What did I have for, I did my summer reading class on it.
Just give us a second here. There's a lot of paper this week we went through. And they
too
all
much.
look similar with similar type covers. Okay, board members, everyone all set? Steve, on, go right ahead.
The A.M. Chafee School Council has worked probably since November, reviewing our past school improvement plan and then making plans for the school improvement plan for the 2012-2013 school year. We keyed our goals off of the district goals and at the time that we had the draft district improvement plan to ensure that we're all pulling the oars in the same direction and moving the boat together. And in our discussions, we came up with 4 goals for the A.M. Chafee School for the coming school year for our school improvement plan. The first, with regards to curriculum and instruction, is to continue to align and refine our curricula with the Massachusetts Frameworks 2007 and to increase levels of students' performance in mathematics and reading. In particular, I focus on improving our reading and language arts scores in line with our superintendent's goals and our district goal to have almost all of our students reading at or above grade level by the time they leave 3rd grade. We will work to make better use of our MAP scores than we have in the past to help direct instruction, group children for instruction, and find out areas where we need to focus our instruction to help our students improve. Same with our DIBEL scores for our early elementary, kindergarten, and 1st grade students. We will continue to use our staff meeting time to address curriculum alignment and to share instructional practices, and I will work to take care of the business of the day in other ways, because that's an important time we've got together that we can spend to share best practice and to look at the effectiveness of our curriculum. We'll work with our curriculum coordinator and the staff to find a universal mathematics assessment to help us pinpoint where in mathematics our children are doing well and where we need to focus our instruction. We've got our DIBELs. In ELA, we test our kids kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. We've got our MAP testing in 2nd grade, which gives us math results as well as reading results. We don't at this point have a universal math assessment for kindergarten and 1st grade. Having one is going to help us put a finer point on our instruction and our focus. Plan to work with the district and the district and school assistance centers to implement learning walks at the Chafee School, so we can find, again, what we're doing well and what good practices we need to put more focus on implementing to help our students improve. We have our summer packets going home to help keep kids focused over the summer. And finally, increasing the number of minutes of direct instruction in reading. And we're doing that by working on our scheduling, both our specialist schedule as well as the scheduling of reading and language arts time. And by focusing our instruction when we're teaching science and social studies on the reading in the science and social studies. So the children will still be getting the concepts of science and social studies, but the focus of our instruction is going to be more on are the students able to read science and read social studies. And there's a bit of a difference in reading a scientific text, a historical text, than there is in reading a nonfiction text or a fiction text that we're reading for enjoyment. Again, to help boost our students' ability to read and to get them, by the time they get to 3rd grade, to take that MCAS test, better able to decipher that text that's put before them, because it's not always fiction that shows up on the MCAS. It's often nonfiction. One of the examples that's in the sample test is pure historical nonfiction, to build those skills as we move forward. Our second goal is related to our English language arts instruction, is to further develop and implement the John Collins writing program in grades K through 2. I think we've gotten off to a great start in implementing the program, kindergarten through 2nd grade. Anecdotally and evidentially, we're seeing more writing from our children, better writing from our children as the year has progressed, and the children having a sense writing being more than just writing narrative. They know that there's writing in math, they know that there's writing in science, they know that there's writing in social studies, they know that there's writing narrative, and they know that they're different. And they also get, as a result of this program, that there are some standards that are in place when we're writing, and it's different than if I'm writing a quick note to Mrs. Ennis, as opposed to something I'm going to put on the bulletin board. One needs to be proofed and corrected because a whole bunch of people are going to read it. The other one, I want to make sure Mrs. Ennis can get the message, but if I misspelled something or my writing's not as neat as it could be, as long as Mrs. Ennis can read it, it serves its purpose. We will look at our MAP scores and our MCAT scores in the area of writing and writing-related questions to see where we need to focus. Again, we use our staff meeting time to share those best instructional practices, find out where the roadblocks have been with the Collins Writing Program, and share how we got past those or how we can work together to get past those. We'll have continued professional development across the next school year with some Collins experts to help us move past Type 1 and Type 2 writing into Type 3 writing, kindergarten through second grade. We'll also continue to use the Foursquare Writing Organizer, which is a very simple graphic organizer that our children can use to help get their ideas begun to start writing. Then one of the things we like best about that is it can be done with a blank piece of paper. And when our kids get to MCAS, unless they have an accommodation in their IEP or 504 accommodation plan, they can't take a graphic organizer with them. But I can turn my MCAS test over to a blank side of the page, put a plus sign in the middle, and I've got my Foursquare organizer, and I can use that to help me get myself going. It's something I can always carry with me. And then finally, we're going to take a look at our current reading program and compare it to the 2011 frameworks and our curriculum map as it gets written to make sure that if it is not meeting our needs and doing what we need it to do, that we then start to look for something to replace it. It's over 10 years old. It's time to take a look. I know Mrs. Daly has that on the docket for the coming school year, so we can get a group of teachers together and make the best choice possible for our students to help, again, fine-tune and improve our reading instruction. Third goal is to strengthen and build upon the home-school community partnership and encourage student involvement in connecting to their surroundings, the local community, and the school. We'll continue to involve students in community service projects, like the Pennies for Patient projects that we've done, and collecting money for the food bank, and those types of local things where they can see what I'm doing makes a difference to people here. And as they get older and they get a sense for the larger world, hopefully that spreads out among them. We had the director of the food bank come to one of our school assemblies and thanked us for what we've done, explained to the children where the food went and how it was used, and I think the children really appreciated that they did something cool for their community. And just after our last spring concert, a local veteran stopped me and said, listen, I have to thank you for the cards that your kids put together for the veterans around the holidays. I think it was Valentine's Day that we did that. You've seen some of the toughest guys I know crying when they get something like that from the school. It really makes a difference. And I share that with Mrs. Forty and the kids so that they know that what they do has a greater effect, outside of the school. We're going to look at exploring math in the community and finding ways that math is used around. Our kids have a sense of math as just this 2 plus 2, 4 plus 4 counting numbers, and that it doesn't have a functionality. And bringing that concept forward to the kids is going to help our students get a sense for mathematics literacy and better prepare them for 3rd, 4th grade, middle school, and high school, where their math teachers are going to be focused on literacy in math and what communicating in math means. We will refine our online communications with parents, revising, bringing back our Chafee newsletter. I think now we've got a sense that a lot more people are going online and taking a look at our webpage. In past years, we tried to run both a paper and a web version. People would look at one and not the other, or wouldn't look at either. We're getting a better sense now that our website is being used, because people are calling and saying, I checked the website, this wasn't there, so I didn't have a chance to post it yet. It's coming. We'll get it there. So it'll be a much better tool. And then we'll continue to work towards developing a math support program for our parents, providing more information about the Everyday Math program, the algorithms that are taught within the Everyday Math program that are sometimes different from the way you and I were taught, to help them understand what's being done in the classroom, providing both the connection to the resources through the Everyday Math website itself and our own homegrown resources for parents. And then lastly, provide programs, again, to promote positive social behavior in our kids, having guest speakers, performers, motivational programs, continue the Second Step curriculum in grades K through 2. We've seen, particularly with the incorporation of some yoga techniques and some brain gym techniques along with the Second Step, our children have vocalized the steps that they're using to help solve the problem that they've got in the hallway or outside. It gives every adult in the building a common resource to fall back to when we're helping children solve problems. Remember, what are your steps? What do you need to do? Okay, let's walk through it. It builds a sense of empathy in our kids so that if you or I are having a disagreement about something, I'm not as self-centered in my focus on this. I can try to get a sense of your perspective or somebody else's perspective if there's an issue or a problem. That helps us come to a better solution. And then continue our recognition programs, our Chafee Champs, our Spot Student Recognition, and our Mighty Manners to recognize and promote positive behavior throughout the building. So the plan was put together by our entire school council, which was made up of Ms. Sandy Granahan, one of our teachers, Ms. Kim Davis, kindergarten teacher, Mr. Travis McDonald, Kelly Morse, and Ms. Shelley Lambert, our 3 parent representatives, and myself. And we will, as the year progresses, look at what we're doing throughout the school year, measured against our goals and objectives in our school improvement plan, and revise our plan for the coming year based on progress.
Thank you, Mrs. Ennis.
Thank you. I'm just curious, is how will you, now that we have lead teachers and department heads, you're going to have a lead teacher at the elementary school, how will that teacher be integrated with this plan?
We'll have a lead teacher at each grade level at the elementary school. That lead teacher will be key in that data analysis piece and working with the staff on focusing on data and what we're doing, working to ensure that our curriculum is consistent between classrooms so that in my first grade class, you're getting science 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, and in Mrs. Walker's class, you're getting math 5 days a week, 6 hours. We can't do that. We need to be consistent with the amount of time. Their input on scheduling in order to ensure that we're able to spend more time focusing on our reading skills as well. It's going to be key.
Great, thank you.
Anything else?
You had said increasing the number of minutes for reading instruction. What many minutes are we thinking?
Well, right now, we're between, I don't have this 90 and 120, depending upon the day in the classroom.
That's what we're right now.
Right now. What we want to do is keep it at minimum of 120 and more. For most kids, 120, the 90 to 120 is enough. They get annual growth through that. It's those kids that need to get the makeup growth that we need to increase that amount of time with, and we'll be able to do that by the specific application of our literacy teacher and our Title I people and our other support staff that we have available.
Is that Mr. Gully?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just give it
I just have my hand up.
Mrs. Ennis, go ahead.
Now she made me forget what I was going to say.
Well, I can keep talking.
No, I know what I was going to say. What grades are you seeing this? Is it across the board where they need more reading, or is it everybody shaking their head
At this
behind you?
point, absolutely, yeah, at this point, absolutely across the board.
It is, okay.
I think
All right.
as we improve our ability to teach our children and improve their ability to read, that's going to change.
How are we encouraging the parents to read to their children?
The summer reading program is one way. Our PTO sponsors a reading program in the building, kind of like the Read Across America, where there's an incentive for them to read. So we get the parents reading with their children. If the children are not able to read, children reading themselves and recording those books. We have a sustained silent reading time in our classrooms, and that time works also towards the reading incentive program. We will be getting information out to parents over the coming school year, not only about how to help their child read once they get to school, but how to help their other children before they get to school. And as I think we said at one of the administrative council meetings, if we could be at the hospital when the kids are born, we got something we can hand them. Say, from today on, start this. And your child's going to be even more ready for kindergarten when he or she gets there, and more primed to learn to read and do math and all that great stuff.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, so you don't do like the Books and Beyond that Clara Barton does?
It's
a similar...
It's a similar program. The children record the number of books they've read, some of the reading chapter books, the number of chapters, the number of pages that they've read, and then based on the numbers, number of chapters, number of books, I think it's levels 1 through 8. We don't do minutes.
You don't do the minutes?
No, it's books or pages. So with the kindergarten and maybe the first graders, it's really small books that they're reading, and read 10 or 12 a night if you want to sit with them and read them. So rather than having them to set a timer, not set a timer, the sense of getting whole texts read.
Okay. I have to say, the Chafee Champs, I can remember my kids coming home with that. I mean, they love that. I think it's an awesome recognition program. The spot stickers. I know that my son himself had tried to cover his whole notebook one year. So I think it is a great incentive for the kids for their behavior. And I have seen it, though, over the last year kind of dwindle down a little bit. If it's gotten a little old, do you think, that it's, where it was fresh a few years ago, now it's kind of...
We see the stickers all over the place in the building, and the kids still seem to be excited, particularly at kindergarten through second grade. And, the spot dogs outside of the doors are almost all covered, with the spots representing the number of times the kids in the classroom have been recognized for doing something recognizable throughout the day. And we still got kids trying to cover their notebook or their lunchbox and that kind of stuff.
All right, thank you.
The math support program for parents?
Yes.
Are we thinking an in-service for parents, or drop-in nights?
I am thinking something along those lines. We'll meet with the lead teachers and the classroom teachers.
Because I don't understand this math.
We'll be glad to have you.
And it's hard to help kids when you don't understand it yourself. Just another comment, I've already heard, I think it was at your school that the learning walks have already begun, and
We've done learning walks at the middle school thus far. We've trained teachers from every building.
Okay.
I think the next step will be the Barton School, and then we'll fall into place after.
I did get some feedback already. I thought there were teachers at your school, maybe not, but they're excited about it, and I can tell from experience that it is pretty interesting
And
work.
it certainly could, because a couple of teachers in the committee with you were the ones trained and were at the middle school.
So they're
doing the
excited.
learning walks. Good.
They're excited about it. That's always easier. Makes it easier.
Anything else from Mr. Yvonne? I think, Ms. Yvonne, you set the bar very high, and you work hard at this, and you have some good programs, and you have good vision for the education system for our community. Thank you. And we'll have to pass the bar.
Well, with Norm's help, I would like to just address the Barton plan. Mr. Baroni, at the very last minute before the meeting started, had a family emergency and could not be here. So if there are specific questions, you'll notice that there are a lot of similarities in Barton's plan. Both Mr. Baroni and Mr. Yvonne collaborate quite a bit, and it's still our elementary kids. We know that our students come to us at age 5, and some of them are behind. And so one of my missions is that outreach that Mrs. Ravelli talked about, to try and get in the hands of every parent. And I'm going to work with the town on the census to try and see if we can get information to all of our parents, especially those with infants and toddlers, because we do a great job of keeping our kids on grade level. And we do a very good job if they are up to a year behind, because we can get them back on track and working proficiently at grade level. Where we do have issues is we've identified many of our kids that are more than a year behind. And that reflects in so many ways. It makes certainly the education of them that much more difficult. And we have identified literacy and our ELA fluency as the number one area that we must work on, because we can have the greatest math and science programs, but if our students cannot read, we are stuck and they are lost. And we know where that takes us. And by the time they get to the middle school, they are not ready, willing, and able to learn because they have a deficiency that we have not been able to correct. We now have the data, thanks to Mrs. Daly and Mr. Trahan, that identifies every student, every teacher, every class in every building. And we know where we are deficient. We know where we need to address those individual students. And we are targeting direct instruction with our students that are furthest behind. Mr. Baroni has done a wonderful outreach with some of our students and families at Orchard Hill this year. And he does that on his own time at night. It has been very well received. We have a lot of similarities in terms of what we are doing. We know that parent and community outreach is critical. It is critical. It's going to be a part of the educator evaluation standards next year. And the Department of Elementary Ed is now, and Secondary Ed is now putting those plans in place as to how to measure educators in the Commonwealth by how well we reach the community and reach our parents. And it is something that we all take seriously, but we get obviously our best bang for the buck when we can catch our students as they come to us in K-1-2. And certainly in grades 3 and 4, we know they have to possess grade level proficiency both in ELA as well as math facts and math. And if they don't, we are unable to give them what they need as they progress the rest of the way in the Oxford Public Schools. So we are making that a top priority. We are working with our DSAC, District and School Assistance Centers, through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed. They have done learning walks and trained us and trained our teachers, and that will only improve. I think that the John Collins, which again, the administrators have really taken to heart as a way to help our students improve their writing and how they think about writing, is going to be critical. And we will continue to roll that out. I know that some of the teachers that you would least expect to embrace more work, a new program, have seen the gains and really have spread the word about having an integrated writing program. And I can't thank the administrators in front of you enough for taking on these challenges, because at the end of the day, we're only here to help our students. And if we can't get them where they need to be, then we've got to keep on doing a better job in assessing what we need to do better. And in a lot of cases, we've worked pretty darn hard. We now have the data that we can pinpoint to work smart and make sure that we've identified those folks that need the most direct instruction. And we will continue with those efforts. And I know that Mr. Baroni echoes that in his plan, very similar to what Mr. Yvonne has laid out for us in K-1-2. It is amazing that some of our neediest students have received the least amount of instruction from the home when they come to us as young as age 5. And so we are going to educate parents. We are going to go after as many other preschool operations in town as we can. We're going to try and do whatever we have to do to get the information in the hands of parents, because as we know, they are our students' first, best, and forever teacher. So we need parents to really step up and help us so that we can work with our students, because no one can do it alone. It takes really, the school and the home and the students to work together. So I just wanted to let folks know I got a little more long-winded than I had started off to be, and I apologize, but that's really where we are with K-4. And that's what we have identified as our number one priority, to improve our literacy. And I thank, again, all of the administrators have done a wonderful job at rolling up our sleeves, because we have we cannot fail, pure and simple, and we have to improve. It's often said that our students don't get a chance to go through their particular grade again, so we will get the best trained and the most dynamic teachers in front of them, and we will give them the tools to improve their practice, and we will make sure that we get as much information to the home so that we can all work together to get the results that we all want.
Thank you, Alan. Okay, with that, what I'm going to do with the Clara Barton School Advisory Council, we've read it. I know we're not going to be able to hear Mr. Barone speak on this. We can do, if we do have questions on that, which many members may, please direct those to the superintendent, and then the superintendent get back to Mr. Barone. And one thing I would like to also ask for this, Mr. Superintendent, is the other committees had a list of the volunteers where the principal just took the advisory council. It's not just a principal, they come up with a whole team of parents, teachers, administrators, and he must have been missing that page, or we didn't get that copy, so if you could just add that for the record as well, too.
Will do.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anything else for the superintendent on that? Or you can contact him. Thank you, Mr. Yvonne. And the middle school, Mrs. Hackett and Mr. Miller. And just give us a minute just to find our reports. This one's in a binder.
Spiral binding on it.
Looks like this.
It's prettier than everybody.
I'll get it.
Okay.
No, I don't have it yet. I do.
Mr. Ravelli's doing dual jobs tonight, so we'll give her some leeway. Give her a minute and the
I
rest.
am.
Mrs. Hackett, if you may.
Thank you, Mr. Coonan. We began working as a committee in, I think, November, maybe in October. Everybody on the committee received a copy of the previous year's improvement plan with indications as to which goals we had achieved, which were in progress, which goals had actually been met, and maybe some goals that needed to be revised, or some that we added in after identifying the current needs of the building and the students. So we do have twice as many children in our building as everybody else, so we have twice as many goals. Some of them are much more detailed, and some are less so. Some of the ones that deal with positive environment in the school or positive climate are recognition programs, and that they are pretty self-explanatory within the grids on those pages. We also targeted math, because math seemed to be our area on MCAS where we needed to focus the most attention. And so that being said, that was our first goal, and the one I believe that the committee probably spent the most time discussing, and we spent the most time on maybe 2 meetings in total on just that one goal, because that one was so important to us. Technology access has become pretty much a driving force in our building, to the extent that we have had to establish an electronic calendar to make sure that all teachers have equal access to our labs, to the cows, to the iPads, document cameras, and there is rarely a day that any of those materials are not in full use throughout the day. And we have coupled those together in our math assessments program. We have partnered with WPI in Worcester, and through them, we have trained one of our teachers through their summer workshop program, which is an extensive graduate program on campus at WPI in the summer. And this was our first year with math assessments. It is a math lab run separate from the actual core curriculum of our students, but in support of all of our students. Our program was effective to the point that probably by mid-year, it became a classroom that was included in the tour of the doctors, Neil and Christina Heffernan, who authored the program and created the workshops, that our school had become one on their tour to bring prospective clients to. So that kudos to our teacher who did an excellent job with that, and to our students who were always welcoming and pretty willing to be the test case, and also to show anybody who came into the math lab what it was that they were learning, what they were doing, and why it was successful for them. In order to have arrived at these goals, we used some of our staff meeting times, as well as our common planning times and time with our committee to identify the best and most efficient means of data collection, because that's what drives the other goals. Not really sure to how much detail you'd like me to go into on every goal, because we could be here for a long time. But if you have specific questions, perhaps that would be the best way to address the areas that are spelled out within our grid.
Very well put, Mrs. Hackett. Board members. Can I just use a second? As you're reviewing it. I also think Mrs. Hackett made a kind of notation here that I also served in this committee. I served on it as a parent volunteer for the last 2 years, and the first time my wife kind of blindsided me when I get a letter and said, guess what, you got elected. I said, I didn't vote for anything. She goes, oh yeah, I put your name in. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be, and it was absolutely once a month that we met. You know, it's supposed to be for an hour, and we usually be there about 3 hours. And Mrs. Hackett's a wonderful cook. And she'd bring in some snacks. And the 3 hours a month, you get an incredible snapshot about what my child is doing every day in school. And just the different teachers around, you see their passion for education, throwing ideas off each other, and there's good debate that goes on there. It's not a committee that says, oh, we're going to do this and then we're going to do this. Well, how about if we do this? And that's why you see every year, your action plan gets longer and longer, because different things, just the web keeps getting wider and wider, because there's so many other areas that you see that you can improve in your children. That's under your care. And I thank you, Mrs. Hackett. I learned an awful lot.
Well, thank you for serving for a few brownies or cookies here.
Yeah, and Mr. Milner as well, too. There's just good debate around the table. Okay. Mr. Ravelli.
Can I just ask, there's an addition then of curriculum planning time? And is that common time that the teachers will be having now? To plan, or is that after school, or?
We currently have it in our schedule. We're on a rotating schedule, so on alternating days, teachers have CPT time. The committee had wanted to change the name from common planning time to curriculum planning time, so that it focuses the area in need of discussion around curriculum coming up, particularly with Common Core and the changes that we will need to align our current curriculum with the new changes to the federal Common Core.
And the only other question, what are the main differences from last year? Or are we still on the same, pretty much similar goals?
Some of the things have changed or been updated or have some changes within the steps or have expanded. One in particular was one towards the end that we kind of came up with at the end, because some of the members on our committee had all read a book that got us into discussion of children's heritage and being proud of who you are and what you bring to the table. So one of those included a plan to have a day before, that last day before Thanksgiving, which is a half day, to celebrate everybody's heritage, your culture, your background, the history of your country. One of the teachers has the national songs of every country that children in our school represent. Discussion was made to have flags hanging in our media center for representing every country that our children represent, or that they have a shared ethnic background. We wanted every child to feel as if they were an integral part, and in order to do that, we needed to bring all of their culture and to value that, so that we value them with that as well. So that was one new piece. Another piece was looking at the math effectiveness. Some of the steps in there have changed this year while we're still looking at the effectiveness of the math curriculum.
I'm sorry, the what curriculum?
The math curriculum?
Last year, it's that everyday math
Right.
curriculum. Now
But the goals themselves are still, are what you were working on last year, I think, it seems like.
I think that we might have
Changes within.
included increased parental, there may be changes there, and in the community involvement, there would be changes in addition.
Goal number 9, correct?
Yes.
Anything else? Very good. Thank you again.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Coonan, for serving on the committee.
Very welcome.
Thank you to your wife for
I don't know
nominating
about
you.
this, I don't know about next year. There might be a conflict in that one. Mr. Wells and Mr. Nugent.
Just give us a second to find it.
Why is it always taking longer than
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any questions on this one?
Okay, board all set?
We all set?
All set, Mr. Wells? Floor is
Okay.
yours, sir.
All righty, thank you very much. Well, as you can see, the school improvement plan is I'll kind of walk through the beginning of it. I'm sure that you've had an opportunity to peruse it over last weekend, some pleasurable reading over the weekend. But if you look very quickly at the school profile, that's from 2011. It's always from the previous year. Kind of gives you a summation of the school from graduation requirements, the curriculum, what our marking system is, SAT scores on the average for 2011, math, writing, and composition. Moving on, we have our mission statement for the district. Take a look at the beginning of the mission statement when it talks about reading, writing, listening, and speaking effectively. The next set of pages, rubrics, are directly from the mission statement. These rubrics are used by the teachers in each of the discipline and curriculum areas so that we have consistency across the curriculum when it comes to the mission statement of our school. The next page is just an overview of the academic support grant that Mr. Nugent was able to procure for us, and he'll go into detail a little bit more afterwards on that. Summarization of MCAS scores over the course of the next 2 periods, then the MCAS results for the graduating class of 2012, and then the Oxford highlights, a little snippet, if you will, of some of the accomplishments over the course of the year. I just tried to spread it out a little bit so that it included things such as the chess club, the guitar club. We did rock the vote for the 2nd consecutive year. The annual debate, there were 2 candidates that chose a topic to debate, and they had a week to prepare for that debate. They presented speeches, and there was a mock election, and the kids really tend to enjoy that. Oxford High School received Project Unify, which you've heard about in the past, but again, we're the only South Central Massachusetts high school that has been recognized by the Massachusetts Special Olympics as a unified high school for Special Olympics. And to explain that just a tad, unified means that you're taking students that have disabilities and they're working with students that do not have disabilities. So we have an outstanding Best Buddies program. This certainly was just a natural segue and partnership for us to join with Special Olympics. It's been very, very successful. Part of that also was to spread the word, to end the word. We had our third assembly this year for Spread the Word to End the Word. and that worked out very well. Sensitivity training, if you will, for all the students throughout the high school. As you look at the overview there, the word was retard, and that's what we wanted to abolish from our vocabulary here at the high school. We worked very hard at that. We had a wonderful group from the Berkshires Hill Music Consortium, a group of young adults that are in a residential placement. They came for the second year in a row. They talked about who they were, what their disability was, as well as being able to perform, both from a musical standpoint and the wonderful voices that they had. Mr. Nugent, would you like to talk about the grant for the DESE grant? Sure. The equipment we just got.
Oh, yeah, I presented this to, I believe, two of you the last time I was here. We were able to get a dropout prevention grant. I believe some of you were in the audience with that. We have it up and running. We do have a dropout prevention coordinator as well as an assistant. We are currently working with 13 students who did not make the graduation cut as of May 25th, but are working hard now to hopefully by the end of this school year, by the end of summer school, earn their diploma. We also have targeted 3 juniors, and the 2 staff members are now working with guidance and reviewing current grades and transcripts to see what sophomores and freshmen we could potentially get back on track so they don't fall too far behind. This grant will go into the summer. We do have our equipment. It is in the process of being set up, so we will be able to catch kids up on physical education and health throughout the summer, so they won't fall behind with that. And we're also going to incorporate the academic support grant into summer school, to be able to provide some opportunity, not just for remedial, but for enrichment to help students targeted by their 8th grade scores who might need a little extra help to get ready for their sophomore MCAS next year.
As we look to next year, it proves to be one that's very exciting. I've worked with the staff at the high school in terms of coming up with what we feel will make a huge difference here. The superintendent has been gracious enough to entertain the vast majority of these, the first of which we will be moving guidance directly behind us next door. They will no longer be upstairs, so this summer they will be moved downstairs in what used to be the special education director's suite. That will allow us immediate access to guidance. In addition to that, there's a classroom on the very end of this hallway that will become our in-school suspension room, which is directly across from the main office. It'll be the first time that we've been able to staff that with a full-time person, so I'll have an instructional aide there, which will make a world of difference because it will run every single day. Comparatively speaking, we have not been able to do that in the past because of teachers that rotate in for their duties. It's a duty period for them, and several times we had many, many teachers out. Consequently, those duty periods had to be used to cover classes. The last period of the day right now, as I'm sure you're aware, we have a rotating schedule. The only block that's frozen is the lunch block, which is period 6, right? Okay. Period 6. The last period of the day will freeze that block as well. That will afford us the opportunity for a few things. One, it will give us the opportunity, should the opportunity present itself, to hire part-time staff, and we'll be able to say that here's when your classes will be, and it will be locked. Number 2, it will allow us an opportunity to get more students into the workforce. So one of our goals is to continue to raise the bar on those students that may be alienated and disaffected from their academic studies. And one of the ways that we're going to do it is by put the carrot before the rabbit and tell them the opportunity will present itself if you get your grades up to where they need to be to go back out into the workforce. They'll be able to receive work-study credit for going to work. So rather than being here, that's something that's been around for an awfully long time. The replacement of eliminated positions last year, Those of you that were on the committee are aware that we had to eliminate 2 positions at the high school. One was a foreign language teacher, one was a physical education teacher. It's our intention to bring back that physical education teacher, and at this point in time, we're waiting to put people into positions so we know what their salaries are going to be, and the possibility exists that we may be able to bring back that foreign language teacher as well, potentially a part-time shop teacher. Quite frankly, we focus an awful lot on our advanced placement classes and the mainstream of students, but there is a percentage of students that don't have the good fortune to be able to go to Bay Path Vocational Technical High School, and let's just say they're not exceptionally engaged in academics. So I call it a breath of fresh air. If we can get them a class where they can go in and work with their hands so they can see the product of their labor, that's something that we would like to try to do as well. If you look at that last page, if you compare the district improvement plan that the superintendent has given to you, these correlate directly. MCAS scores, the current sophomores and the freshman class, the current sophomores and the freshman class are a class that struggled in the middle school grades on their way up. So we've worked with them to this point in time to try to improve their grades. One of the things that we want to focus on is getting more students in the advanced category so that we can shift that weight to the top side rather than in the middle. We also will have the good fortune of having department heads. Last year, we started having common prep time here at Oxford High School, so the departments are not shut down, but everyone in a specific department has that period off. By having a person in charge of the department, it will afford them the opportunity for collaboration, to take a look at some of that 8th grade math testing, as well as the MCAS scores in terms of specifically what's missing, what we need to do to change, and most importantly, it will help us prepare for the Common Core standards that will be coming in soon. This past year, we had several teachers that were trained in the Collins Writing Program. Working with Mrs. Daly, we'll be bringing back the same person that will work with the high school, and we'll be looking to expand that so that we can go across the entire curriculum with the Collins Writing Program. In terms of integration of students with disabilities, we have several students that work not only, some students are in a self-contained classroom, but they do take classes in other classrooms, so they're mainstreamed. And I will be more than happy to entertain questions. I think there may be some.
Board members.
Mr. Wells, I just have a question in regards to your MCAS. You have 2008, 2009, 2010. Where's 2011?
2011, apologize to the new members, was presented back in, I believe, November. I can give you a copy of that. Those last 3 years presented in there, the last 3 years we made AYP, so they're going to be used as minimum benchmarks to get the scores back up, even though AYP is going to be a thing of the past. We would certainly focus on using those as benchmarks, but I can get you a 2011 report.
I have.
Okay.
I was just curious because I'd seen the middle school had provided it. I was also a little curious. From what I took off of the Department of Education,
I'm sorry?
when I pulled off of the Department of Education for MCAS scores, they're a bit different than what you're reporting for 2010, 2009, and 2008.
Correct. If you look at that, though, it says Oxford High School students, or should say Oxford High School students only. What I do is I take out Project Coffee. So only the students that were tested in the building are included. So those are
Okay, so that is the difference. Okay, I
right.
couldn't understand that. Thank
Right.
you.
Mr. Rowley.
You didn't mention there's an addition of Adina students? It's in here.
It is in there. I skipped over that.
You skipped over that.
I
Is
did,
there a
so
reason
thank
for
you
that?
for bringing that to my attention. No, not at all. I could say I didn't want to spoil the superintendent's thunder, but that wouldn't be accurate. So the fact of the matter is,
But the
the
cat
Dean
out
of
there.
Students position, the recommendation is that we post the Dean of Students / Athletic Director's position. The athletic director in most high schools is out of the building quite a lot with meetings to begin with. Our athletic director teaches 4 classes rather than 5, and what we are going to do, the recommendation is that he will come downstairs. The job will be posted, and of course, people can apply, but the athletic director would, rather than teach classes, would come downstairs, be a dean of students that would focus a lot on discipline, tardiness, teacher detentions in terms of follow-up and follow-through, and being out and about in the building itself. So it's certainly something that will help us. There are 2 classes currently taught in the world history or in the history department. That is current events and conspiracy theory. That's currently in the history department. That will be moved to the English department. Consequently, that will give us the opportunity to be able to absorb the psychology classes that the current athletic director teaches into the history department. So it would be at no cost to the district in terms of additional monies. Is that confusingly clear?
Confusingly clear.
Okay.
So then the history department's going to be teaching the psych classes?
Which they have been all along, correct?
They have been.
Yes, they have.
Then
The athletic director is a part of the history department.
he's, oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So psychology is social studies.
It's in social studies core.
I didn't know.
Right.
Need that. What's that?
I'm all set.
You got it.
So, Mr. Wells, it sounds like you've already made your determination on Mr. Deldorian taking this position. Am I correct in that? His name is in here.
We will be more than happy to interview. It's a point well taken. He's been the athletic director here for a number of years. I don't know that anyone brings the same experience to the table. So, it's almost a foregone conclusion.
Mr. Himmelberg,
Just to clarify what Mr. Wells is bringing up, this building, when it opened, had a 3rd administrative dean of students. And due to budget cuts, that position went away. Obviously, we think that that is the right thing to do, reinstate that position. What I would like to do, and I spoke to the chair, is to give the committee the full information and hopefully get approval on these, along with the literacy positions for the elementary school, so that we can address all of our needs. And I would plan on doing that at the next meeting.
and also too, from my discussions with the superintendent, I have directed him that they will be posting, and the postings will be reviewed, that is any inclination that people are just being handed out jobs, that there is a posting process, and the posting process and bid process will go through.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. Anything else from Mr. Wells? I do have one thing. I'm very happy to see that as part of that contract, you have the department heads back in. Are those department head positions been filled yet?
No, they haven't been posted.
Posted.
They haven't been posted yet. Quite frankly, we did have a grant a couple years ago for 2 years.
Mhm.
So we had pseudo academic team leaders, but it's been almost 16 years, ballpark figure, that Oxford High School has not had department heads, legitimate, if you will, department heads. So that, coupled with the fact that we're going to be able to have department meetings with the cooperation of the OEA in the new bargaining agreement, it'll be the first time in a long time that we've been able to do that.
I mean, there's absolutely integral in curriculum. Delivering curriculum is you have to have the meetings. Superintendent.
And also, Mr. Coonan, that was also pointed out in our NEASC accreditation visit in 2010, that we did not have department heads, and to the teachers' credit and to the OEA, we've added in another day and a half worth of work in terms of planning to work and strengthen our curriculum, and I think it's all steps in the right direction.
Thank you.
I do have a NEASC report that will be coming forth in August that's due. It's a 2-year, if you've been involved with the NEASC process, it's a very detailed report that I'll be giving you, the exact copy that I'll be sending to the New England Associations of Schools and Colleges, that you'll have the rest of the summer to take a look at.
I'm in self-study right now, so I may pull a couple notes off yours.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
No, we just finished, finishing up self-study. We have a visit scheduled in November.
It's a tedious process.
Yes, it is, sir. And anything else, Mr. Wells? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. At this stage, we've reviewed our elementary, Mrs. Ennis, go ahead.
Did we do all the improvement plans? We did, right?
We did, and I'm going to go to project after, next step is I'm going to go to project, if we approve these, and then project coffees, it's kind of an overview handbook. It's a little bit different, so I'll take that one by itself.
Okay.
Then move forward. All set?
Yes.
Okay, at this point, I entertain a motion to approve the school improvement plans.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. Being none, all those in favor, Mrs. Ravelli, all set?
So why are we not reviewing Project Coffee?
We're doing this one next. We're taking Project Coffee next, where theirs is a handbook, and it's kind of a little bit of both. So we're doing these together, and then,
That's fine.
okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Abstentions? Being none, and the motion is passed. Thank you for your hard work. And we still have a little more work to do, I think, tonight, so you're not excused yet. Okay. Mr. Cannappioli, please. And
Thank you, Mr. Coonan.
you just had,
Evening.
you had the one packet, right?
Yes, we just had the handbook.
Trying to
And I
fit
just
you
had
in
a
the right
quick two-page kind of overview, being, as I'm finishing up my rookie year here, I wasn't quite sure, as my program is much different than the traditional schools.
Exactly. Just give us a second. I want to find
Sure.
a two-page overview.
Share.
There you go. I'll mark it up. Okay.
Thank you. For the new members and people out in the audience, I just kind of wanted to describe what Project Coffee is, because I'm not sure if people actually understand what it is, but it actually stands for Cooperative Federation for Educational Experiences. It's an alternative education program designed to meet the needs of special education students, but also some regular education students who are having behavior, academic, social, emotional issues. What we can do in a small, very structured program is offer them a very unique program that provides academics as well as an occupational component. So we have kids who come to us who are really struggling in the more traditional settings. Our goals are to try to get the kids to start to make some changes, start to do some things differently, develop a skill, and potentially return to the mainstream schools. This past year, 2011, 2012, we serviced 54 students, presently 54, 5 middle school, 49 high school. And you can see there's a various number of districts there that we've serviced. I'm not going to read them all. 37 were from those various districts, and 17 we serviced from Oxford. 47 of our students were on IEPs, special education, 10 students from Oxford, and we had 7 regular education students, and all of them are from Oxford. We did graduate 11 students this year. 9 received high school diplomas. 1 was an Oxford student, and 2 received certificates of attainment. 1 was an Oxford student. 6 of the students are presently full-time employed, 3 part-time, and 2 are looking. I did put some MCAS data on there. I'm not going to go through every specifics, but as it was alluded to earlier, our student scores do reflect under the Oxford High School scores. So that is accurate. Just on the second page, just a couple of goals that I have as a director for next year is just to continue to work with the sending districts that we service to meet their students' needs, to increase our enrollment, obviously, because that is a challenge every year for the directors down at Project Coffee, is to get the outside enrollment in so that we can function and keep the program running. We will start next year with 36 students. In talking with some of the veteran staff down there, that's kind of an average number. It's kind of where we usually start the year. But I do have some visions over the summer to get out and meet one-on-one with special ed directors, as I've been in contact via email and phone, but I do want to get out to visit. Another goal is just to work and to challenge our teachers down there to create classrooms of ongoing teaching and learning with a focus on MCAS. It's huge. Math is a huge issue for us down there. The students really struggle with math. We do utilize the assessment program. I do have a teacher that's trained in that, but I think we need to continue to advance our academics down at Project Coffee. Sometimes the perception of an alternative setting is just it's a place to dump kids, and that's certainly not my philosophy. I've been doing it for a lot of years. So I really want to challenge the teachers for next year to increase our academic standards and what we're looking to get out of these students. And just the third kind of goal for me is to continue to work with the middle school and the high school administration to assist with their disruptive and challenging and at-risk population that we do have right here in our hometown. I've worked very well with the middle school. We've had a great partnership where we've utilized their cafeteria this year. We used their gym. A couple of our occupational shops are in their building. So we've formed a nice partnership where I've been able to take 3 or 4 of their disruptive kids out of their community into our community, and the kids are actually doing a pretty nice job with us. So, and I know it's helped some of their grade levels in their buildings. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm just trying to throw a few things out there. If you have any questions for me, it might be better for me to answer what questions you might have.
Sure. Mr. Connell.
What's your maximum enrollment that you can take into the Project Coffee?
Traditionally, the number is usually around 65, but, I would be open to, going higher. What we have is, we have a small building over there, but the uniqueness, again, is half of our population's in the building, and the other half is usually off at a job site or at the middle school in their shops. So we are able to entertain some more numbers. That's obviously where I would like to go, to get the number as high as we can.
Mr. Canacoli, what's your current level of staffing?
Current level of staffing?
Yeah.
We have 4 academic teachers. We have 5 occupational teachers. Administrative assistant, I have 2 instructional aides and a guidance counselor, myself.
Okay, and then you talk about some of the shops. Just the general public watching the meeting where it's always been this inception. I think when I was in school, it was called Animal House, Crazy House, things like that.
Yeah.
True, and you gave a little overview what Project Coffee is, but some of the things some of the work that your program does.
Yeah, we have 5 different shops. We have a carpentry shop that does a lot of work out of the middle school, where they build tables and chairs and small little woodworking type projects. We have a small engine repair shop, where they've kind of branched off a little bit this year from the lawnmowers and the snow blower repairs to some minor maintenance that we're doing on our own fleet of vehicles, our buses and vans, which is helping to save us a lot of money. Windshield wiper changes, stuff like that, bulb replacements, minor stuff. We have a computer technology component. We have a horticulture, agriculture, like a landscaping group. And we have a construction group. And just some of the highlights, our construction group completed their 2nd shed this year up at Clara Barton. We've had some crews that have gone down to work at the food shelter. They're actually right there right now helping to disassemble some of the shelving and move the food because I guess they're relocating. They've done some painting down the community center. We did a lot of work, the landscaping crew did a lot of work to get the grounds looking nice down here for graduation a couple weeks ago. Just many, many different things that these kids have done. What I've asked the staff to do this year, we finally get up on the Fusion page so we're accessible online. So I really asked the staff to keep that updated just so that the community knows what we can offer. We actually do a lot of work with a lot of grass out here to cut, so the lawn mowers are breaking down, the snow blowers. We service all those mowers for the custodians. So we do a lot of work that helps the district as well. So.
Not only in the public relations, but also hands-on skill. We're predominantly that these students would be dropouts and could be anywhere out there running the streets, and now you're giving them their first shot of experience.
Right.
Hopefully use it and go out there and gain a future.
Right.
Thank you. So that's that stage, and do you want to go into your parent-student handbook and finish everything right up, and then?
Sure, the handbook is just, pretty self-explanatory. I mean, if you thumb through it, if you had any major questions, and it basically just outlines our, our mission, our job, program description, our program objective, again, to provide a educational setting for students who are at risk, kids who just are struggling in a more traditional setting. And then it just goes on to show what we offer, our grading system. A lot of this, coming in as the new director last year, I really fine-tuned and tweaked. I think it used to be about double this size, so I kind of condensed a lot. But it just talks about a lot of the structure that you have to have in a small setting, in working with an at-risk population. Talks about the rules, the dress code that we have down there, our point system. All students carry a point sheet on a daily basis, so we can monitor how they're doing in each area. So, I mean, it just gives you kind of how we operate every day. So I don't know if you want me to go into every specific of it, but.
Open up the questions from board members.
I just have to say, you're on a tight ship.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very impressed with your handbook.
Thank you.
Tight ship, I like to see that.
No, I appreciate that. The population, some people, at home might think, well, you're working with a tough group of kids, but that's they're kids. And
Right.
these kids have come from difficult backgrounds. They've had circumstances, I mean, I could obviously publicly not tell you that, but there's a lot of stories that are just sad that these kids have had to deal with, and to provide kids an opportunity in a setting like that is just huge. And I think the need in this district, this being my first year, it's there. Mr. Wells alluded to that group of 13, or Mr. Nugent, that are in that, that program to get themselves the dropout prevention program. There's a lot of need, and there's not a lot sometimes to offer these kids down here. They just get lost. That's what a program like that can do. It gives them another outlet. So I've been happy to work collaboratively with both administrations, the middle school and the high school, and I want to do more. Tell them this: if there's seats, let's fill them if there's a need. Let's get these kids from this building to there if needed, or the middle school to there if needed, to give them another opportunity to be successful. So that's kind of where we're at.
I think we're all on the same page. Mr. Himmler.
And just another point to echo what Mr. Cornichioli is talking about is some of the students that he has had are now ready to come back into our buildings and be productive students. So I think those are the types of wins behind the scenes that we never hear about, but there are, when you talk to these students one-on-one, you say, geez, I wonder where they're going to be. And some of these kids, some of these students this year have decided that they want to move back into the middle school or high school. And I think it's because of Dave's experience and the work that he's been able to get from the staff there. It's just dedication with a capital D, and I think that's pretty neat.
With that being said, do they have to meet certain criteria at Project Coffee to come back into, whether it's the middle school or to the high school?
Yes, I mean, obviously they would need a history of very positive attendance, positive grades, and showing us that the behavior has improved dramatically. And there wouldn't be a re-entrance from any student without my recommendation to start, or our recommendation from Coffee, but then sitting with the administrative team from each building and making sure that this is the right fit. Like Mr. Wells and I are going to meet with a couple of students in the next week or two, and parents, just outlining the opportunity for them to go back, but also with the clear understanding that they can come right back if things aren't where they need to be in these buildings. So I think it's going to work very well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, at this point, I'll entertain a motion to accept his overview and his parent-student handbook.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second? Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Being none, motion passes 5 in the affirmative. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Cornichioli.
very much.
Okay, next we're going to go to the elementary school handbook, please. Mr. Yvonne, you're back. And now this is where it gets, there we go. Okay, this is we Barton and Chafee combined, and is it correct, is the color copy here?
Yes. Yeah, well, this This is what it looks like when it ends up going home.
But please don't confuse us.
Oh, this is the copy that you want.
And members, we ready? Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Brown and I have collaborated in reviewing the student handbook, and we have been working at this handbook for the 7 years I've been in the district, and probably a little bit prior to that. So I think we're getting to a point where we're getting it knocked. We have 2 proposed changes to the handbook for this year. The first would come on page 2, and it removes reference to interim reports for the elementary schools. We ran a experiment this school year of not sending midterm progress reports home at the elementary level, sending report cards home, and relying on the professional communication between parents and teachers to keep parents informed of how their children are progressing across a marking period. What we had found in talking with the teachers and working through the process, it almost seemed that every time we turned around, we were filling out something to send home and spending less time focusing on teaching and instruction that we needed to. The experiment this year seemed successful. We had no surprises at each marking period at the end of a school year. No phone call saying, what do you mean my kids got X for grades? Or, I didn't know this was going on. Teachers did an excellent job of keeping parents informed if their child was struggling. And going back to that connection between home and school and the importance of that connection in keeping folks updated. And we certainly didn't need calls saying, oh, geez, I'm surprised. My kid got really good grades. Where did that come from? So the few words that are struck refer directly to the interim marking, interim reports and the sending home of interim reports, but keeps language regarding teachers sending notes home, teaching making telephone calls, teachers keeping in contact with parents regarding the progress of their students or the lack thereof. The other change is on page 3, under promotion, retention, and dropout prevention. The 4th paragraph down is a mention of completing a remedially based program and showing competency through testing, permit a child to be judged passing rather than being retained in a school year. We don't have a test of record. If a parent came and said, well, give my kid the test, it's not something that's happened the 7 years I've been here. Anecdotally talking with teachers, it hasn't happened for the years prior to that. So rather than refer to something that doesn't exist, we figured it made more sense to take it out.
Anything on those points or other points from the handbook for Mr. Yvonne? Again, representing the elementary schools. Thank you, sir. And I call back Mrs. Hackett and Mr. Milner, please.
Thank you for having us back up. In order to make it easy or to simplify the process, any changes are highlighted for you in grayscale. And there are not a significant number of them. Some of the changes are housekeeping details that just update dates, names, responsible persons. And the majority of the changes came from our faculty council through discussion, agenda items, and resolution through that particular committee is what brought us to what you see in front of you now. There is a cover sheet that summarizes pages and proposed changes for you.
Thank you. Through the chair to the superintendent, I'm wondering if there's any way we could have a universal, I don't know if we would have to make it a policy or if it would be something you could sign off. In the elementary handbooks on page 8, there is a statement of wearing their helmet when riding their bike to school. I was chimed in on this before. I really hate seeing kids going down Main Street 60 miles an hour on their bikes without a helmet on.
A different page.
No, page 8 of the elementary.
Oh.
It's in the elementary. I'll start over. It's in the elementary.
It's okay.
That children that don't wear their helmets to school will lose that privilege. And I've seen these kids whip in and out of traffic. It's scary to watch. And a helmet on a kid, we all tell our kids, put your helmet on. And even if they don't, we still tell them, put your helmet on, or if they take it off. Mine gets her bike taken away, and I haven't had to do that yet. So, in saying that, I'm wondering if there's any way we can enforce it district-wide for those that ride their bikes. And one more thing, I think it was done a few years ago, I don't remember, maybe 3 years ago, the police department did a bike safety, it was about 3 years ago, I think. I think they should do that every year if they can, because you know what? It's new kids all the time. It's a rotating population. So that's one of the requests that I have for this handbook.
Through the chair to Mrs. Ennis, I agree. I think that that's something that is very important. Excuse me. I believe that the majority of our bike riders are at the elementary buildings, and I know that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Hackett and Mr. Milliner, there's only 1, 2, or 3 bikes at any time that I see at the middle school. However, I think it's very important that we work that into some of our safety programs, and I will check and see if we can do that for the kids that ride on the weekends or after school. Because you're right, it's something that we want to stress and can't stress enough, and I think we'll try and get that message home to the parents as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Superintendent, so I think it's a great idea also, Brenda, but who's going to enforce this? Who's going to see Johnny driving from his home? If we make this policy, who then is in charge of enforcing Johnny having his helmet?
Through the chair to Mrs. Goucher, yes, I believe that it is, having talked to the police on this OPD, it is very difficult to enforce it. However, much like at the elementary buildings, if we do see it, it is very easy to revoke the privileges and then to identify the student and call home. And I think that's what we will target along with the education to hopefully get the word out. But it is a challenge to enforce it. I mean, it is a fine in this state. However, it's difficult to enforce, and I think with limited public safety budgets across the Commonwealth, it's very, very difficult. But we can do our part to make sure that parents get the message.
I'm just going to chime in this as well, too. I think as a school committee, this is public safety. And in public safety, we're looking out for our 2,000 children there. And Mrs. Ennis's point is very well taken, is that I would like to see it in there. And I also I would ask the superintendent to make it a point of emphasis with his administrators to deliver that point, to the bus duty, the morning duty, that second and third set of eyes in the parking lot when they're coming in. And if you could please deliver that. Thank you.
Michelle.
Mr. Lavelle.
Just to note that we do have this same policy in the middle school where I currently work, and it's done by simply the person who's out there on bus duty. The child gets on their bike and they don't have a helmet, they're informed, don't bring the bike back again without a helmet, or you're not going to be allowed to ride a bike, and their name is taken down and given into the office. So it's really not, and we're all leaving at the same time. The buses are all out there. There's walking dismissals, whatever, are made at a set time. I'm not thinking it's very difficult. Every day you might miss one, and that's okay. We'd like to catch them all because it is pretty much a safety hazard, but it can be. I don't think it's that difficult to enforce. I guess. I've seen it enforced, and it's not that difficult.
I think it's a little different when Mr. Wells comes up and talk about his parking and banning cars. I think we'll have a little more discussion on that one. But I think the bike will handle that. Okay.
You can handle it.
Thank you. Anything else?
Let the handbook?
Yes.
There was a mention right on the front page here, and I think this is not just with the middle school, but I think this was, expanded the discrimination at the bottom here, you know, Oxford School District does not discriminate, blah, blah, blah. Homelessness was not added, and that needs to be added, I guess, in all of them. But I think it, you know, it's just an oversight, it's something that has changed. And I think it was even mentioned, but missing on page 1 there. And parent organizations, volunteer opportunities, community service. And I didn't see any reference to that in here. Did I miss it? Is it somewhere else? I did see it in other handbooks. You know, opportunities for volunteering for parents. The parent organization does mention of it. I did not see that in there.
Middle school?
Yeah, well, anything. Whatever organization, if it's Friends of the Middle School or whatever, how are parents involved in, there are volunteer opportunities listed on your plan, but I don't, how, is it in here? Did I miss it? There was a lot of reading this weekend. I didn't see it in here.
I don't believe that it is specifically addressed here because most of that portion is taken care of by the Friends of the Middle School.
But we don't let parents know when they, because parents get this handbook, right? There's a parent-student handbook? So I guess, you know, that's just my suggestion, that it would be nice to have it listed there so the parents know up front, how can they volunteer, how can they be a part, and gets them involved from the first reading.
Okay. I'm curious, I read through it. If you wouldn't mind just explaining the academic probation piece, where the exceptions in the fourth term, could you just talk about that for a second?
That would be, Mr. Coonan, in reference to the change that we are
Yes.
proposing.
Yeah, the change, just about the change.
Okay. Currently, students who are on academic probation for any quarter of the year, they remain there until the next report card is issued. However, during the fourth quarter, this year we ran into a few students who found themselves early on in the quarter on academic probation, were able to work to get themselves supposedly off of it. However, there's not another report card issued. So for students, for example, in 7th and 8th grade, that would have excluded them from some end-of-year activities, even though they had brought themselves to be students in good standing. So in order to be fair, we thought that with parent advocates or with teacher advocating for them, that we could make a case-by-case individual decision. Yes, you have fulfilled these requirements and your name has been removed from academic probation. Whereas in the way it has read previously, you are there until the next report card is issued. And in some of the other quarters of the year, that may not seem as punitive, but during the fourth quarter, when you're looking at recognition, you're looking at the semi-formal, you're looking at class trips, that it seemed to be overly punitive. Some children can work themselves off of that and become students in good standing again. So it seemed a little bit overly punitive to make them miss some of the opportunities that are available at the end of the school year that, for example, don't exist during the first quarter of the school year.
Now, would the parent have to apply to you for that, for a case-by-case, to review their case?
In most of our cases this year that we have kind of dealt with individually, it's been teachers who have been advocating for students in their class. There have been a few parents, but primarily it has been teachers who have advocated for individual students who have worked very hard and got themselves into a situation where they are now passing everything, and in some cases passing, you know, very well, not just by the bare minimum allowed, but so we thought to have penalized them for the remainder of the school year. They missed a lot of opportunities that don't present themselves again.
Thank you, Ms. Sackett. Anything else from the middle school team? Very good, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Wells and Mr. Nugent, please.
Here we go.
We do have a few more handbook changes than are typical for the high school. They are highlighted in red. I apologize, I recognize that some of the numbers on the bottom, when we adjusted the font so it was in larger print, got lost. The first one would be on what is numbered, I believe, is page 7, but again, it's highlighted in red. Our dual enrollment program, if you look at the following page immediately after the red highlight, where it talks about dual enrollment, that essentially is what it used to be. What we wanted to do was to expand what the role and responsibility was from guidance completely to the home front, so that people were very clear regarding who would be responsible, who would promote it, how it would go about coming to fruition for some. Currently, we're working with Quinsigamond Community College. We do have a couple students next year that will be going in the fall full-time in dual enrollment. The parents would pay for the courses, but the students, even though they're at Quinsigamond Community College, are still eligible for all co-curricular and extracurricular activities here at Oxford High School. We're trying to expand this, so we've met with Worcester State University, and we have feelers out at Holy Cross College as well. We currently are involved with Nichols College through what's called their Access program. Next year, they just came here last week, and they met with our junior class. They'll be offering 5 evening courses next year that students are eligible to sign up for. That is a dual enrollment course where students can get credit from Nichols College. Half of the course is online, half is on campus. So they can get credit both from Nichols College as well as Oxford High School.
And it's, I believe, your need for the, for that blocking of 6-7, of locking it in there to allow the student an opportunity to leave on a consistent basis to schedule
The
classes as well.
potentiality certainly is there because of that, because that last period always rotated, so it would be the last period one day, and then it would be first the next, then second, then third, then fourth.
Where a student could get into to a 2 o'clock class.
Correct.
Which historically, I think how most colleges work, that they want dual enrollment during the day, that they don't want them at night in the night programs.
No, that's correct. Nichols College does it at night, but the vast majority during the day.
During the
So the potentiality of a part-time student leaving to do that certainly is there.
Very good. Mrs. Ennis?
If I might ask, what is the cost from Quinsig?
Good question. Off the top of my head, I can't answer that. I believe it's over $600 per course, though. The cost at Nichols College, I would, $300. That's an evening course, so it really, Nichols, that can't compare. And Nichols College also works with a local bank, so that students actually could take out a loan and make monthly payments for that $300. Years ago, if you recall, with dual enrollment, there used to be a state-funded grant where all students were able to go free. That became non-existent several years ago. So because of the request and the desire by several students and parents to branch out and to try to expand those opportunities, that's why we've been looking into it over the last several years. I'm also trying to work, quite frankly, with a vocational technical program called Porter and Chester out of Westboro, which may be an opportunity for some students to go to school at night to begin their vocational certification training, whether it be HVAC or something along, some of the other lines that are out there.
What is your population? How many enroll on the average?
Usually for a full dual enrollment, no more than, recently, 2, 3, but it's still a
Really?
wonderful, yes. Nichols Access Program, we had 4 or 3. 3 last year, maybe.
Why is it so low? Just,
again, quite frankly.
I'm wondering, is it cost, is it?
Well, I think that people look at the fact that, for example, I can speak to Nichols, and they say, gee, $300. What they don't understand, for example, at Nichols College, my daughter's a full-time student there during the day, and it's closer to $2,000 per 3-credit course. That they're looking at the figure and they don't understand the cost. So Quinsigamond Community College at over $600 a course is the least expensive option that's out there right now for kids in the state college system. So I think it's a matter of not understanding the whole. in terms of the cost.
And the college comes here and meets with the parents, students that are interested, right?
Quinsigamond Community College?
Or any of these?
No,
Was that what
Nichols
they were gonna do?
College comes here for the initial presentation.
Yeah.
Which they did last week. Kids are provided all the information, the registration information. We take the Nichols College access information, and we make sure that they have that at Nichols.
Right.
They make the check out directly to Nichols. We're not involved with any of that whatsoever. And then the professor works with them in terms of they get their email address, and then that's how that process starts and actually finishes. We then get the grade from Nichols College so that we can put it on the transcript. In terms of the full-time at Quinsigamond, they go to I guess Mrs. Ravelli could probably firsthand begin to tell you about the potentiality of,
I think after, what's today, Monday? After Wednesday, I would know more.
you have
But- Oh, for Quincy, what did I had my hand raised for something else, just to add. If I can go back to Nichols just for a minute, because
Sure.
that's what was on my mind. The Nichols, I think, last semester was the first time it was presented.
correct.
So I think that, the first time you do anything, you might not get the big numbers. The Quinsig thing, so then the kids have to take placement tests? And after the placement tests and all, and then they say, okay, you're a good fit or not, and if you are, then it's interviews, et cetera, and then choosing classes. So that's Wednesday for myself and my son. For him, actually, not me. But I do have some questions regarding that. Why limited to 15 credits per semester?
That was the recommendation, quite frankly, of the guidance department. That's 5 full-time courses, which means that would be 10 full-time courses a year, with the understanding that our students, for the most part, at the high school level, usually take 5, sometimes 6 here at school, and they're going to be commuting. I think that they looked at it from a stress standpoint. A lot of these kids are, and I'm not... They work, they have vehicles that they have to take care of, they have to study. It's a different type of studying when you're there because of the length of the day. Then they come back and they may play in the band, or they may be involved in a track team or things like that. So I think it was about a balance, but I can certainly get more of a rationalization from guidance.
And the only other thing I had on this, if I may, since we started on this anyway, was that the listings for Nichols weren't listed here, so I was concerned that maybe you weren't doing that next year, because I thought that was a wonderful
No,
program.
that was in our program of studies that was sent out, so it lists,
So it's somewhere else.
it is in the program of
It
studies.
is somewhere that goes out to parents and people know
That's
about
already,
aware.
it already went out, correct.
Okay. As long as people are aware in some way, shape, or form.
But it's a good point that, that we could actually put it in the handbook as well. Any other questions regarding dual enrollment?
Ms. Gosher, go ahead.
So this is available from grade 9?
No, it's actually dual enrollment is for, at this point in time, is for seniors only.
Only seniors.
But the Nichols Access Program are for juniors and seniors.
Okay.
I might add that we still have the virtual high school program on hand here at the high school for juniors and seniors as well, where students can take classes online from all over the country.
Thank you.
Mr. Wells, would this also be an option for a student that may not have graduated last June and may need a credit or two? Can they, instead of returning to your school, could they pick up that credit through a dual enrollment, through a Quinsig?
Well, they could certainly take a course at Quinsig, there's no question about that, but we also, oftentimes, there's burn coat at night.
Yep.
Sometimes we have students that have failed, do a double course at burn coat at night, if it's an ELA class, for example. So yes.
There's
I
other
mean,
options. Instead of
That, in terms of credit recovery, absolutely.
coming back to repeat your senior year, you're a credit too short, you can pick it up in these.
Correct, and through the grant, it's not, but going back through the grant that was written, that we received monies from the state, we have a credit recovery program, Keystone, out of Pennsylvania, where we have students that they have a hard copy of a curriculum that's progressive, and they can do that as well.
Okay.
But we did have one student who went that route,
Who
who
did it,
graduated
yes.
this year, through Burncoat and I believe Quincy.
Very good. Okay, anything else on dual enrollment? We'll continue, please, gentlemen.
The next one is under the general rules and regulations. I believe it's listed as page 11. It simply is adding, smoking is not permitted at Oxford High School. First and second offenses will result in in-school suspension. Any additional offenses will result in an out-of-school suspension, as well as a recommendation by the school nurse to a smoking cessation program.
Just to equate myself with your procedures.
Yeah.
In a in-school suspension, a parent's notified, or did they come in? How does the student get themselves out of that in-school suspension?
In school, go ahead.
It would be like like when in school would be a day, so they'd spend the day in school. What we're looking to do next year is, if they generate more than 3 in 1 quarter, anytime after that third one, they're in for in-school suspension, but they also stay for that afternoon detention. And
Into the
teachers-
parents notified?
Parents are notified.
Of the reason why that they're in there,
Usually through letters.
through letters. Okay, thank you. Mrs. Goshen.
So the maximum is 1 day of in-school suspension that you give out? Is that what you're saying? Or did I misunderstand?
For smoking, they get 1 day in-school
Oh,
suspension.
just for that, smoking?
For the first
Oh, yeah,
offense,
no.
right.
Oh, okay. That's all, thank
Anything
you.
No,
else on that
smoking, yeah.
Okay, continue, please.
All righty. Next is a little bit deeper toward the back. There's not a page number, so I apologize. At the bottom, it says administrative corrective procedures for absences, but we're at the top. There's been a change. It says C, and then it says 4 absences or more may result in loss of credit in 1 quarter. Take your
Just
time.
scroll down.
It's the next highlighted red page. At the top of the page before it says users will and users will not. So it's the very next page.
Okay.
I've got,
D,
It's
social
about-
suspension?
It's about 10 pages back then.
No, this would be a student that arrives at school, so it is prior to social suspension by 4 pages.
The next red page.
That's helpful.
No, that's not, it's after.
It's 4 pages before.
It's about the student that arrives school after 8 o'clock?
Correct.
The start of school is what, 7:15? I'm sorry, through the chair.
The bell
Go right
rings.
ahead, go right ahead. The start of school, please, sir?
The bell rings at 7:14.
But the first class starts at
14.
7:50.
I would be
Warning
late
bell is 7:10.
every day.
The late bell's at 7:10?
Warning bell is 7:10, the late bell would be 7:15.
Okay.
What we have done is this was a request through the athletic department, and the athletic director, Mr. Himmelberg was involved in some of these conversations, and that a student that arrives to school after 8 a.m. will not be allowed to participate in co-curricular activities. What we have found over time, in my 4-year tenure, is that a lot of student athletes, it used to be 10:30. So at 10:29, not that they would ever miss a test by malice or for any other reason, but the fact of the matter is that kids would come in, they may miss a test, but they would be in at 10:29, and then they would be eligible to participate. What we're trying to do is get them to be more responsible citizens in our school as a community and to get to school on time, all the time. They have to set the example as a student, because it's student-athlete, not athlete-student. So that was a request of the athletic department. We thought it was a great idea, and we decided to go forth with that.
Mr. Wells, if I may.
Yep.
So it's extracurricular, so it's not just athletics, it would be the band, or be the other things as well? Or just-
Affirmative. It would be
Okay.
anything.
And that would include like an extracurricular, could be a practice, would be a rehearsal or meeting?
It could be the NJROTC, it could be the band, anything. Play rehearsal in the afternoon, they could be the star leading the play. Yeah, anything.
And would it be, and how would this, I guess, be administered? Would it be the coach advisor and
Well,
along with the
again,
administrator looking at it?
Well, whomever, we have, Mary Jane Rassicott, one of our secretaries, takes care of the attendance. She is pretty much on top of who's coming and going. The dean of students, one of the primary responsibilities will be to oversee this So they will notify, he or she will notify the organization or club. Now, in all reality, is the possibility exists that someone could slide through? Yeah, there's no question about it. But, you know, for the most part, we'll be able to get on it with that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything on that point? Very good.
Hey, Nick.
Okay.
Oh.
Can I?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, yes.
All right, so I understand that, like, if you're here before 10:30, it still counts as a full day. Would that still?
No, not anymore. You have to
So
be in
it's
by
still
8
before
a.m.
8. So say I come in at like 8:05, I'm absent for the whole day?
No, you can't participate. You're present, but you can't participate in athletics. You can't participate in the student council trip. You can't participate in Best Buddies, the school
For
play.
that day or for the whole?
No, for that day.
Okay, all right.
So I think, in other words, Zach, if you're late today, if you came in at 10:30 today, we'd send you home right now, before this
Alright.
happened. You wouldn't be allowed to be here tonight.
Okay, but, okay, that makes sense. But if I'm here at like 9, it still counts as me being present that day, but I can't stay after.
For your classes,
Yeah.
but you can't participate in any after-school activities.
All right.
I'll make sure I watch his attendance the second and fourth.
We will too.
Monday of the
You're not gonna call us on
So
it.
that'll be duly noted, and it is on camera, so I appreciate that question. Next is social suspension. Social suspension is new. This is essentially targeted, you know, I don't think it's a surprise that handbooks essentially are written, it's 4 pages after that. Handbooks are essentially written for 10 to 15% of your total population. The vast majority of the students in all schools don't need a handbook because they know what's right and what's wrong, and they try to abide by that the vast majority of the time. Handbooks are written more for those that, you know, tend to look to try to find a shortcut. So social suspension would be exclusion from participation in or attendance of all curricular, extra or co-curricular activities, including senior activities, and could possibly include graduation. They would be on social suspension for 30 school days if he or she is suspended out of school or given ISS more than 4 times combined or separately during the year. So when a student receives in-school suspension, kind of a warning shot. Then maybe something happens and they go out of school. Now they're halfway there. So 4 total times, and it's a 30-day suspension, social suspension. Now, what does that mean? Maybe kids don't participate in activities. That could very well be. But that also means that you might not be able to go to your prom because that's a social activity. So those are the risks that those students would take by being repeat offenders more than 4 times.
Okay.
Questions?
Mr. Wells, the point
Yes.
that I saw in there, and I mentioned it before, is the right to park on campus. How do you enforce that?
Well, it's my understanding that, I'm assuming you're thinking about carbuncle. Is that what, we have someone that oversees parking, first of all.
Yeah, to
that-
drive, they tell them basically they can't.
Right, so we have
Can't drive to school.
parking stickers that go on the vehicles. We have their license, their registration, their insurance, you know, like most schools do. So students will be told that they cannot drive on campus. Now, when the opportunity presents itself, and again, it's a numbers game in terms of personnel, going out and about and getting out and about. But believe me, I think that the kids are their own worst enemy because the word spreads awfully fast. But that would also include parking, because during the school day, that's considered school property over at Carbuncle. I thought that's the direction that you were going.
No, just in
So-
general, I applaud the fact that you're not going after just the athletes, or this kid, this one, and some kids, like, don't do it, but they take their car to school, that you're taking a step further, and you say, now you can't drive your car to school anymore, when they're on that suspension, is that correct?
That is correct.
Am I reading that right, social suspension?
That is correct.
They lose the
Part
right
of
to
social
drive.
suspension is your right to drive for 30 days.
That's wonderful.
So what we're trying to do is to raise the bar over, you know,
Wonderful.
in more than one arena.
That's right. And you're not going after a select group of kids.
Not at all.
Across the
It's
board.
across the board.
You find little things that, the connections that they make to school, and take them away. I appreciate it. Okay, yes, Ms. Scotia.
So, Mr. Wells, so what happens if the student who's on this, during the social suspension, they're in the school, correct? So what happens if this student gets in-school suspension again? Do you extend?
So you mean, so for example, they're now on number 6, because it's on your 5th time.
Right, yes, exactly.
So now it happens again, so there's an additional 30 days.
On top of, say you're already on your 15th day of this.
So now it would
punishment.
end up being an additional 45. The 15, you still have to serve in another 30.
Thank you.
And if it's a snow day, it doesn't count as a day. Or if it's a hurricane day, it wouldn't count as a day. Just like a suspension, if a student is suspended out of school,
Right.
those days don't count either. Next, we just kind of expanded, nothing exceptionally enlightening, but we expanded with the students being dismissed from school before 1:45, that they have to make sure that they bring a note in at the beginning of the day. What we find is, with the beauty of text messaging, people are able to look you in the eye and text message all over the place without even, and then they look quick and they already know, and their mother just sent them a text message. Happens all the time. So students get dismissed sometimes for an array of reasons. If it's an emergency, that's understood. You know, we're not trying to hold their children hostage. What we're trying to prevent is kids getting dismissed for minuscule reasons. That's all with that. The next one, automobiles and parking. It's about 7 pages after that. There is a typo that'll be addressed. It says part rather than park. Has letter E at the top of the page. We're okay. So, you know, once again, trying to get students out into the workforce and their ability to make money and go on work study and to do things like that, what we want to do is to try to raise the bar and get them to do well academically. So we use the MIAA, the Mass Interscholastic Athletic Association standards, where they must pass 4 out of 5 classes. If they don't, then they're ineligible to drive to school. So they have to pass 4. The intent is not to punish anyone, but the intent is to try to get all students to raise the bar and to become accountable for what they need to get done in the classroom. So that's essentially the spirit of that. And I think that is it.
I did make mention of the homeless, and we will add that as well to the discrimination, homelessness.
Yeah, I think from some of the books, it was, you know, it was just forgotten.
Yeah,
I know it
we
just
did.
changed recently.
Yes, yeah, Mr. Roy.
One question, I think I must have missed this in the past. We actually give credits for academic labs?
Yes.
Why?
Because under, the reason for that is the same reason that it's considered an academic lab. The teachers are available to help students, licensed certified teacher. It is time on learning. So it's because it's considered time on learning. It's, what is it?
1.25.
Is that high?
No, out of 5 credits, it's
So like a gym or a half year would be 2.5, so it'd be, so quarter of that.
a quarter of the, right, credit.
Zenas.
At the teacher's discretion? Not every student is going to get a credit for an AC lab, so it's at the discretion of whoever the teacher is?
It's a pass-fail, so if a teacher feels that the student is not using the academic lab, then they'd fail and not get the 1.25 credits.
Thank you.
And again, last year, we increased graduation requirements by 5 credits.
Yep.
So again, the standard, you know, is higher and more difficult for everyone, not a select few.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Wells, Mr. Nugent? Okay. At this point, I would entertain a motion to accept the handbook revisions from the elementary, from the middle school, and from the high school. Elementary schools, I apologize. So
Second for discussion?
Moved and seconded for discussion. Mrs. Ennis?
Just real quick, if we could get some, maybe an update from our superintendent, Mr. Chairman, in regard to the helmet, what he finds out before these go to print. So maybe you could tell us, you know, July, or whenever, when do they go to print? July? So maybe in a meeting or two.
Address it in the next week or two.
Great, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, and that'd be duly noted on the motion, that we'll be waiting that, and I believe it's part of the motion. Actually, I'll take that separately. I'll entertain a motion for that after we go through this motion.
Thank you.
Okay? Any further discussion? Being none, call for the vote. All in the affirmative, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Being none, passes 5 in the affirmative. And at this point, I'll entertain a motion to include in the, and Mrs. Ennis, maybe I'll refer to you on this. What I want to do is I want to include that
If we could have a district-wide helmet requirement for bike riders,
yes,
if that works, if that works for the superintendent.
it works for superintendent and Penn. Okay. Mr. Nugent?
Skateboarders as well, high school has a few skateboarders, so I don't know if you wanted to specify that as well.
I think if they're on any kind of wheels, yeah. Yeah.
Roller skates, rollerblades, put them all in there, any type of
They're on
wheel?
any kind of
Any type of
wheels.
wheeled instrument? Okay. Include, yeah, the razors, scooters, whatever you say. Okay?
Helmet for helmet bikes and
Okay, and we have the motion, is it seconded?
I'll second.
Seconded, in discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote. All in the affirmative, please say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, abstentions, being none, and motion passes. Okay, at this point, I'll entertain a motion for about a 2-minute recess.
about 3.
2 or 3?
Please.
We have briefly recessed. We shall return in just a few minutes. You have a chance to stretch your legs.
Take that from me?
No.
You stole that from me.
I didn't steal it.
Lost my agenda.
Okay, welcome back from that brief recess. We'll take a couple items, one item out of order. I'm going to jump to my student representative, Zach Trombley. Zach has been very patient, and we've got to get him home to his finals. So, Zach, you have the floor, sir.
All right, well, thank you so much. How generous. Okay. Quite a bit of stuff has happened since our last meeting. I mean, it's been 2 weeks, not one. So I'd like to start off with graduation and applaud you all for doing a great job handing out diplomas. Nicely done. It was really nice. Loved the ceremony. Missed the seniors. We had our student council elections later on that week, and most of the people that were on the council stayed. We have 2 new members who are Jessica Gulbrand and Andrew Gagney. And the new presidents for all of the grades are Tyler McCarthy for the sophomores, Bria Delaquila for the juniors, well, soon to be juniors, and Lisa DiCiani. This will be her 4th year as president for the senior class. The talent show was on May 29th, and that was the same day as the junior and sophomore class trips. We're kind of like the juniors and seniors. I don't know how to say that. And then the art show was on the 31st. It was in the community room where we are right now. It was really, really nice. So many great pieces of art everywhere. I saw it. And there were 2 people who went to the Art All States, who were Ryan Donovan and Anissa White. We still have to hear back from that at a later date. The music concert was on the 1st, and that was last Friday, I think, yeah. And we all, well, the music department sang and the band performed at the middle school to promote the band moving up to the high school and getting more people involved with that, seeing as Mr. Baggett said, the clarinet section is dwindling. And now on to like sports. The baseball team did an amazing job this weekend. They are the district champions now. They played against Hopedale at Tivnan Field in Worcester. And now they're going on to play Chicopee for like the state semifinals or something like that. So that's very good. Miss Emily DeWidzik, who is my near and dear friend, was seated 4th in the 200 meter for track and 11th in the 100 meter hurdles, going into New England's competition after being eligible for New England's from states. And then at this meet, she got 2nd in the 200 with a time of 24.69, which is both a personal best and a school record. and third with the hurdles with a time of 14.22, which is a personal best and a school record again. Now she's eligible for nationals in North Carolina, which is this weekend. So all of her finals are going to be pushed up to tomorrow and Wednesday. And this week is finals week, so really excited to get home and study. It's going to be fun. And now for ROTC, their awards banquet is tomorrow night. And this is their 12th year getting the distinguishing award. Out of the last 13 years, this is their 12th award. And Commander Maisley is very excited to see you all tomorrow night. So that's all.
Thank you, Zach. You're free to go, sir.
Okay. Good luck tomorrow on your finals.
Thank you.
Just give him a minute to get his things together. And as we're doing that, let's go into, we have a couple other reports that we want to talk about tonight. And you want to start, well, which one first, Mr. Superintendent?
It's a pleasure.
This is daily curriculum.
Can I get the wrong one on?
And Title I as well?
Mistake for both shows.
Okay.
Thank you. It's been a busy year in the Oxford Public Schools this year. We've continued with MAP testing, expanding this year to include grade 2 at the Chafee School. A few administrators have spoken on this earlier this evening. We started MAP testing in 2007 and have continued to expand on that. We test each student 3 times during the year and can mark we can mark improvement for each student throughout each test session. For those of you that are parents or familiar with MAP testing, we do send a progress report home after each test session that accumulates all of the test data that the student has had while testing here in Oxford. This year, Mrs. Hackett spoke of the Math Assistance Program at the middle school. We were selected to participate. We had a math teacher train at WPI last summer. This is a free online program for us that the students can use both at home and in the classroom. It's a wonderful program, assisting many students, giving several students a second math class during the day. For next year, we've received 2 PIMSI grants, which is Partners in Math and Science Education, and this is also provided by WPI. They'll be putting a doctoral student in the classroom for any labs or activities that will be done on a weekly basis. Both our STEM teacher at the middle school and the math assessment teacher will be participating with that. WPI has also expanded to include science assessments, though it's not as advanced as the math assessments program. We are working rather closely with Dr. Janice Gobert. We did not qualify for the PIMSI grants in science this year. However, she will work with us, through the school year for next year. John Collins Writing was a huge initiative in the district this year. We implemented fully K through 12 in August with one of our trainings just prior to school started for our teachers. We worked Title I. I'm going to bring Title I in here because they were able to provide some coaching. After our training in August, teachers implemented during the school year, and then we were lucky enough to have some coaching sessions with Collins Associates through the school year, and that was provided for by the Title I grant. We have already booked, as I think Mr. Wells spoke of earlier this evening, we've booked the same presenters that we had last August for next October, our professional day in October, and they will work on the next levels of training with our teachers. They are also going to work with our teachers to create grade level FCAs, focus correction areas, so that students will have a mastery at each grade level that the next teacher would be able to be assured that the students would be familiar with. This year, we also organized 2 or 4 curriculum mapping teams. We're going to align our curriculum with the Common Core, with the standards, and create a curriculum map. For those of you either at home or here that are not familiar with the curriculum map, we'll pretty much identify what the students will be taught, how long it will take, what it's aligned to as far as the frameworks. It will involve or include resources used to teach that curriculum, as well as common assessments. And that we're going to be purchasing a program called Rubicon Atlas, which is an online program that will pretty much monitor our curriculum map. Our teachers will create it, we'll put it on here, and all will be able to access it right through the online. So they can do it at home when they're planning, or teachers want to access it during the school day. It's available. That also ensures that each teacher is teaching the same to each student, no matter what classroom they're in, or how seasoned the teacher is. A child gets only one chance at each grade level. Though a teacher continues to work to improve her trade or her task, or his trade or his task, the child only gets one shot at that, and we want that to be his very best here in Oxford. Our curriculum mapping teams meet just about once a month. We have an elementary, which is for ELA, and one for math, which are teachers in grades pre-K through 4. And then we have our high school, middle school, the same, one for ELA and one for math. We'll be coming together in June 19th and 22nd to work to put these together. They'll have the training on Rubicon Atlas on their days, and then they will start actually writing that curriculum and putting it into the template. We're still DIBELS testing in K through 3, and that we do 3 times each year, monitoring the progress in both fluency, comprehension, retelling skills, and that's a free program for those of you that are not familiar with it. Study Island is used. Those of you that are parents of younger students, I'm sure, are pretty familiar with Study Island. It's an online program that assists students with some MCAS-type questions, and it is an MCAS prep program that's available anywhere there's a computer or anywhere there's access to the internet. We're continually changing the curriculum and assessment webpage found on our website, and most recently we've added the Common Core standards that the teachers will be teaching. Those that have not started will be beginning in August. Oxford was very active this year in the Race to the Top grant. Aligning the curriculum was our major goal this year, both math and ELA, and that will continue through the remainder of the grant time. We worked very closely with DSAC. Mr. Himmelberger discussed earlier the District and School Assessment Center, and they send consultants to work with us, as well as providing Intel trainings where providing administrators with various initiatives that will improve the scores in our district. They've worked with us on, they'll be offering several workshops in our voluntary days at the end of the school year. They'll be doing a math curriculum. Teams will meet at that time. They're offering an oral language and vocabulary development workshop, an exploring math curriculum workshop. Data warehouse will also be offered. Several teachers have participated in courses through the school year, both in ELA as well as a math program. So if you have questions, I know that was a lot of material.
Thank you, Mrs. Daly. We'll take these in 2 parts. Questions? Any questions? Yes, Ms. Stewart.
Just, I noticed on this says 2011, 2012. Should it be 2012, 2013?
No, this was what was completed in this year.
Oh, we're reviewing a recap. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you can, No questions, go to Title I, please.
Okay. Roll here.
You're on a roll.
Title I is a federal program that provides money to districts to support at-risk students, students who are in danger of not passing MCAS, students, or meeting benchmarks goals for a school year. Our grant is for this year was $375,210. Our money comes to us we are a targeted assistance school district, which means that our money comes to us based on the amount of free and reduced lunch students that we have in the district. And that's then divided up to each of the schools based on the number of free lunches that we give or reduced lunches that we give each day. However, to receive Title I services in math or ELA, it's not mandatory that students receive free lunch. To qualify, we service those most at risk. It's just how our money is identified for our school district. On the, I think, third page of my Title I packet, there's a chart of the students that were serviced this year in Oxford. We service K through 6. We had 23 reading students at Chafee and 23 math students. In kindergarten, in grade 1, there were 32 reading students, 30 math students. Grade 2 was 29 reading, 31 math students. At the Clara Barton School in grade 3, there were 20 students that received Title I services in reading, 28 students in math. Grade 4, 35 reading, 37 math. And at the middle school, grade 5, there were 42 students in reading, 49 students in math. OMS grade 6, 31 and 36 respectively. We have quite a staff of very dedicated Title I teachers who are listed in that packet. We have 2 at each of the elementary schools and 5 at the middle school. This year we also used some carryover funding to provide additional support in math at each of the elementary schools and Oxford Middle School. And that is also listed on, I think we're on the 5th page now. Lots of things. Title I provides an awful lot of supplemental service, both using a push-in as well as a pull-out method of support. But in addition to that, we provide a morning math program, which is before school math enrichment program, where students work either on computer activities or iPads or games or just practice drilling with maybe flashcards or sometimes work activities that are created on a worksheet. It's been very productive at all 3 buildings. We offer it 3 days a week at both Chafee and Clara Barton and 4 days a week at Oxford Middle School. After-school program is MCAS Minutes was offered this year at both Clara Barton for students in grade 3 and 4 and students in grade 5 and 6 at Oxford Middle School. We have a reading teacher that offered Listen and Learn Literature, an after-school program at Oxford Middle School, and she rotated between 5th and 6th grade students. And we had 18 5th graders and just 5 6th graders who participated this year. Summer Enrichment Camp, we offer a 12-day summer program during the month of July. This year it will be offered at Clara Barton School in both math, reading, and ELA support for any student who received Title I services during this school year from kindergarten through grade 6 are invited to participate. Title I can also provide professional development opportunities for teachers. This year, Climbing the Data Ladder, an NWEA MAP workshop was presented on August 25th to teachers of students in grades 3 through 8. Very closely with the John Collins program. We provided 7 days of coaching at OMS in writing and 2 days at Clara Barton's school with our coach Jerry Morris, who worked very closely with our teachers. We also offered math coaching, same presenter, with math coaching at Chafee, Clara Barton, and the middle school as well. Chafee teachers had 6 days of math coaching. Clara Barton participated in 6 days, and Oxford Middle School teachers, I think they had about 9 days of work with their coach, who provided each teacher a copy of his book that he's written as a resource to use in their classroom, but also email and some communication. Many days during his half-hour lunch break, he was sitting with a teacher or two and, discussing what they could be doing in their classroom. So I think there was a great rapport that was built with the teachers, and our coach. We will be continuing with the same presenters that we've used previously, and they'll be working with us again next year. Title I also provides some parent involvement activities. 2 were held this winter to, I guess, our district goal to involve more parents in some of our activities. Turnout can always be better. But we certainly offered it with some training for parents as well as participation in activities for the students. Parochial schools do have an opportunity to participate in our Title I grant and have a portion of our funding. This year, none of the private schools have, selected to do that, and none have thus far for next year as well. So that's a good thing for our district.
Thank you.
Questions on Title I?
Questions for Mrs. Daly? Daly.
Mrs. Daly, can you explain to me how you broke down where your Title I teachers go to? Because I added up the AM Chafee, there's 84 in reading and 84 in math, and there's only 2 Title I teachers at that school. Clara Barton, with just the 2 grades, there's 55 students in reading, 65 in math, there's just 2 Title I teachers. Now, at the middle school, they're 5th and 6th grade, there's 73 students in reading, 85 in math, but there's 5 teachers there.
Correct. And yes, they will. It looks a little confusing based on the numbers. The federal government determines how much the Oxford Public Schools will get as a whole or as a district.
Okay.
That was the $375,000. From that, we then have to determine how much money goes to each school based on the number of free and reduced lunches that are served each day at each location. Yes. Yes. So there's a dollar amount.
Start the 5 teachers at the AM Chafee level, and
but it's based
on how many students. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you for
You're welcome.
clarifying that with me.
It does look a little confusing when you look at that chart and the number of students that we service, and where our need sometimes in math and reading would certainly be a focus of the district at the lower levels.
Right.
But unfortunately, with the amount of students in the middle school and the amount of free and reduced lunches that we provide in that building,
Thank you.
that determines the amount of
understand now.
money.
Anything else, Mrs. Daly? Rebelli.
Just continued clarification, I
Go right ahead.
guess. So then, basically, the federal government is telling us because of the number of free and reduced lunches at the middle school, I'm assuming that it's higher than in the other schools, then we have to have more people there, or more money has to be spent there.
Yes.
And of course, people cost the most when you're talking teachers or books. The teachers and their salaries cost more.
Yes.
Which is kind of insane because, we all know as educators that if we deal with the reading and the math problems at a younger age, we're at a better better place, become middle school, and then maybe we don't have 49 needing it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they don't let
Well,
me
you
make
know,
that
it's
decision.
still, you know, money to be had, so
Right.
Right.
I guess we'll take it.
Thank you. I just have a clarification. You talked about your push-in and pull-out models of support. Is that as terms of self-contained classrooms and inclusion? Or similar to that?
Yes. At the middle school, I know you're a little more familiar with their schedule, having, participated in some activities and having children there. They have the V period in the afternoon. That's a period on a rotating basis where the children are pulled out of their V period for an additional math and/or ELA
Right.
small group
Small groups, yes.
session. Push in, oftentimes, the additional person is in the classroom. She knows who her students are, the identified students in that classroom that she works with. The teacher is presenting the lesson. She may have a small group that she's pulled aside to the back of the room or a corner of a room that she's working with at a slower pace, repeating instructions, giving a little more detail perhaps to an activity.
Right, and that's more of the inclusion model, which I
Yes.
think is
Yes.
essential when you're dealing with kids, where so many kids before were so relied on getting pulled out.
Right.
No, now they're mainstreamed as much as they can in
Absolutely.
providing the supports. It's wonderful. Thank you. Anything else for Mrs. Daly? Not, I'll entertain a motion to accept both the Title I and the curriculum report.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Mrs. Ravelli.
We're approving what, just the report,
We're accepting a report.
accepting her report. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Reports, both curriculum and Title I. Okay. Any further discussion? Now, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of accepting these reports, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? They are accepted. Thank you. 5 in the affirmative. Okay. And next, we'll go with special education, and Dr. Karen Noon-Yvonne, please. Yes, it is. Welcome, Doctor.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for your patience out there.
Well, thank you for having me here. This is my first official meeting with the school committee since my appointment, and so my gratitude for that. I will go through my report of the 2011-2012 year. Essentially, we service approximately 295 special needs students. And that was the number at the end of this year, the beginning of this week. So the special needs population is in constant flow of students who come in, meet the criteria, and then meet criteria to exit through a variety of ways. This year, 37 students exited special education. Not included in that number are 9 students who will leave us and who have had acceptance into Bay Path Regional Vocational High School. As we move forward through the document, you can see that over the past 5 years, special education has had some changes in terms of the numbers in our group, ranging from about 16 to 14% overall, with our largest group during the FY08 year being 336, and currently, again, we're at about 295. The state average is about 17%, and I think our educational teams do an excellent job of determining eligibility based on the specific criteria outlined in the state mandate for that. Some of the bigger concerns in terms of students and placement take on sort of 2 forms, one being our out-of-district placements and the other being our in-district tuitioned-in students. So over, again, the past 5 years, we have ranged from approximately 37 students placed out of district to, at this point, approximately 14. That number changes year to year based on students graduating, students doing what we refer to as aging out, as we are responsible for our special needs students until they either achieve a high school graduation or equivalency, or reach the age of 22 when another service agency such as DMH, DDS will come in and provide them with supports. The flip side of that is our tuition-in students. We have the great fortune in this district to have a number of highly specialized programs in the form of Project Duke, Project Success, and our life skills. So where last year we tuitioned in 4 students, we now, for the next year, have 6 students that are currently slated to come into our programs. 2 new students coming into Oxford High, one at our Project Success and another in our life skills classroom. The next significant population would be our preschoolers. This is where we receive our highest number of initial referrals. Currently, we have about 32 preschoolers. We're looking at about 34 at the outset of the 2012-2013 year. And what happens is we receive referrals at about age 2.5. Between that point in time and 3, we evaluate and get ready for any of our new preschoolers who require services. So we might actually, and in fact we are, waiting for 8 to turn the magic age. They have been qualified, they had been receiving early intervention services, and we will take on the responsibility of those students at the age of exactly 3. And 8 of our preschool students who are identified as special needs will be moving on to kindergarten next year. I won't go over the number of initial and reevaluations this year, but this particular page in the presentation gives you some indication of the potential for students who are referred, and then those who, on a 3-year basis, we reevaluate our special needs students. That's a regulation that we comply with, and so the numbers are there. And by looking at those numbers, you can see that oftentimes students do not qualify who are referred, but we do have many opportunities in district to support students who may be struggling for one reason or another. In terms of things that have occurred this year, one of our activities was to utilize the Special Education Improvement Grant, where we put forward 2 initiatives, both in the area of reading skills development. One in basic reading skills, bringing in the Linda Mood Bell training for our staff, a 2-day workshop, and the next, the Story Grammar Marker folks came in service. So one working with the basic reading skills, and then Story Grammar Marker working with the higher order comprehension skills training, as well as an autism spectrum social pragmatic component to that particular programming. New initiatives that are coming up. We have a group of students who will be transitioning from the Clara Barton School, who will move into a classroom at OMS. This is a unique group of students, what we would call a low incidence population. 2 of the students, in fact, are tuitioned in, and we have been servicing them for many years in this cohort of students that require some very specialized programming based on their unique special needs. So we will be continuing our training for folks to work with that low-incident population. We will also be reappointing the full-time new hire physical therapist that we did not have this year, and went to our Southern Worcester Educational Collaborative to get those services, and we will bring back our BCBA, very much needed in the district. general goals over the upcoming year. Of course, to seek to have all of our special needs students succeed and move in terms of their own personal growth trajectory on their educational plans, expanding the inclusive opportunities for special needs students across the district and within the community. We want to commit to the continued enrichment of the skills and knowledge of staff by continuing to apply for the improvement grant for professional development, and then to work with our special needs students, again, with the goal of reaching their potential in the global society through their IEPs with the development of high-quality transition plans for them. Again, just to highlight our specialized program, we have these students who might be referred to as somewhat medically fragile. We are looking at other potential initiatives to bring into the district for medically fragile and developmentally delayed students. And we have a strong history in this district of doing just that, and that provides a very much needed service in the area for many of the surrounding districts. We're hoping to facilitate smooth transitions between our schools, and to that end, our teachers from our specialized programs and our team chairs came to collaborate with our Parent Special Ed Advisory Council and talk about that transition process and the kinds of things we had in place. Along with that, we are hoping to facilitate better transitions for our older students into the community, our 21 to 22 age students, so interfacing with the Department of Developmental Disabilities and the Mass Rehab Commission to do that. And then, of course, ensuring FAPE, free and appropriate public education for all of our special needs students. Lastly, we'd be remiss if we didn't speak about testing and scores as it's a primary focus for us. We want to share our AYP targets with our, for our special needs students with all of the stakeholders, and potentially look to meet collaboratively in terms of assisting with our progress monitoring for those students. We'd like to improve our progress toward the AYP goals for our special needs students, and then lastly, focus on professional development, again, continuing with best practice strategies, primarily literacy and mathematics, training staff on data analysis so that we can use the excellent information that's obtained through the assessments that are done in district and through our statewide assessment, and then, of course, training in the mass tiered systems of support, which is our RTI for this state. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Bell.
Just a few questions. The number of students that are out of district?
Yes.
It's a pretty impressive number, only 14. I'm wondering, where are they? Are they kids that have graduated? Are these kids? Are we keeping more kids in the district? How do you explain the number?
I think it's a combination of factors, and I'm also going to have to give some credit to our Project Coffee in district. We have had students who have come from out of district, transitioned into Project Coffee, realizing a drop in that number. We have had a number of students over the past couple of years age out, turn 22, and they have been then assisted by other agencies. And we have, I think, done a very good job of providing supports within the district. Many districts need to vend out for their unique low incidence populations. We are very fortunate to have some highly specialized programs here that keep these students in our district, allow them inclusive opportunities, and maintain them as members of our community. So I think it's a variety of variables there. Our schools do an excellent job of implementing programs that support students who might be at risk of exiting. We have excellent guidance staff who run functional behavioral assessments and then implement behavior intervention plans in collaboration with regular ed, special ed, and support staff. So this is an effort that is really district-wide.
Thank you, Doctor. Anything else? At this point, I entertain a motion to accept the special education report from 2011 to 2012.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Not all those in favor, accepting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Being none, 5 in the affirmative. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
And finally, Mr. Trahan.
I'd like to start off by the first page, just introducing you to our technology staff. We have 5 of us that coordinate all the technology needs in the district. 4 of us are actually employed by Oxford. 1 is a consultant that's with us as needed to handle our higher level networking issues. We support a wide variety of hardware in the district, and most of the requests that we get for help, the SOSs that we get from our teachers, so to speak, about 65% of those issues are hardware related. You know, something is not turning on, we're not getting network connectivity, can't get out to the internet, and we have to touch that. We have about 650 computers in district, and our technology department is typically able to turn around requests within a day. So somebody emails us, you know, usually those things are fixed before the day's out. We have lots of software that we support in the district, and by design, we host very little software in district. We use our website, School Fusion, as kind of a launch pad for all of our staff, both administrative, teachers, parents as well, to access that software. So whether it's our email system, the assistance program that you heard about, iPass, School Fusion, MAP, testing, the results, that's all, you know, kind of can be found on our website. All of those applications are basically hosted by their vendor. Some of the main district-wide applications that you know, are noteworthy are, number 1, iPass. That's our student information system. That is really the backbone of the district. All of our student biographical data, grades, discipline, all of the reports, report cards, as many of you know, iParent, all of that stems from the iPass application, which is hosted. We kind of run that program. We monitor, you know, usernames and passwords, reset passwords quite often as needed. School Fusion, our website, that's been, I think, a huge asset to the district over the last several years, providing up-to-date information. The nicest thing about School Fusion, and I think why a lot of districts have kind of joined us on that, is the ability to empower either the buildings or specific individuals to take care of their own website. So, for example, I don't have to post the menus every month anymore. Pat Hokinson can do that herself. Every department can take care of their own web page and keep the data up to date. And we get lots of compliments on our website on a regular basis that the information is fresh and current, more than most. The MAP testing, you've heard a lot about that tonight, and the technology department kind of oversees the execution of that testing. It is a computer-based test, so 3 times a year we submit a roster file to the company to kind of, you know, register all of our students. We take 1 day, 3 times a year to make sure that the testing is going to run on the computers, get the software installed, and then every evening we upload the results. We print the results that you guys get home, we take care of that, and we provide backup support to the teachers as they get their results and keep that going. Study Island, Mrs. Daly spoke about Type to Learn. It's our web-based typing application that we use for our students. SEMS Tracker is the application that our special education department uses to create and access IEPs, and all of our teachers have access to those IEPs, so they can have real-time access to whatever accommodations students might need. And then the Global Connect calling system that we use throughout the district, where when it snows, you get Mr. Himmelberger's call that there's no school today. One of the big things that we've kind of perfected this year is our data collection as far as central registration is concerned. To streamline the process of collecting new student information, we moved to a central registration process where all new students and parents coming into the district come through the technology department, more specifically our data coordinator, to register their students. Just last month, the Department of Education decided to pick Oxford. We were selected to be part of a data quality grant, and they audited our data collection processes. And through the exit interview with the auditor, we got high praise for, number one, having a data coordinator, but the quality of the data that we're collecting and then spitting back to the department. We're making sure that birth dates are accurate, that names are spelled correctly, and that can cause problems down the line for students. It's through that data collection that we submit several state reports to the Department of Education. Mrs. Daly told you how her grant, or the Title I grant, is dependent on the number of free and reduced lunch students. It's through the technology department and our data collection and our data reporting that we send that information to the state. So that data audit that we had in May was kind of a check on us to make sure that we are submitting accurate numbers. And the auditor actually went through all of Mrs. Hokinson's applications to make sure that every student who was selected for, or a sample, I should say, sample set of students that was, kind of noted as a free reduced lunch student was actually reported and recorded as such. So some of the reports that we report, and you can see their timeline, October, March, June, for the STIMS report. This is our biographical information, EPUMs, SES, school attending, school choice claim form, school safety and discipline. Those are the major reports that we submit to the DESE, and they take a lot of time to make sure that they're accurate and coordinating back and forth with the buildings and making sure that we're sending good data to them. Like all school districts in Massachusetts, we have started working with iPads, and we have had tremendous success in lots of our programs and lots of applications using iPads. We have 33 iPads to date in the district. We're using them in special education, preschool, Title I, ELL, as well as the administration. That's our current iPad inventory. In order to make sure that we're doing this kind of hand-in-hand, bringing the technology in, but making sure that teachers are, or that the users are having access to training, we've provided introduction to iPad training. We've had great success, even over the vacation weeks, of having teachers and paraprofessional staff register for those trainings and take. That's a full-day course. You can see the flyer that we submitted. We have another course at the end of June, and we have almost 20 participants registered, but I anticipate a full class. At the same time, many of us in the administrative sector are going to Apple seminars to make sure that we're keeping up with and following kind of the trend, and that we know how to accurately and appropriately deploy these devices. So I've attended trainings with some of my staff. Dr. Noon Yvonne and I attended a training. Mr. Yvonne attended a training with me, and Mrs. Daly went to an Apple seminar as well. And these are seminars put on by Apple, hosted at various locations, and we actually did host one here in Oxford as well. We have some accessories in district, not a lot. The Title I department, through some carryover money, bought some iPads and some carts. We used cases and different accessories to hook the iPads to the projectors and so forth and so on. We belong to the volume purchasing program. This is actually a program that lots of schools are kind of fighting with and how it works. But the volume purchasing program allows us to centralize the purchase of apps across the district. It allows us to buy apps without being taxed. It doesn't require a credit card. It uses vouchers that we kind of purchase in advance, and it allows for us to get discounts on quantities of 20 or more. There are some apps that we're using kind of common across the district right now. So these are some of the major apps. Everyday Math, the apps that go along with the program that we're using. Those are on Title I iPads. ProLoquo Go is a communication app for some of our significantly disabled students who have communication disorders. We're using Dropbox to share files from the computer to the iPads. Docs2Go for the creation and modifying of Word documents, and Explain Everything for reading and writing on PDFs. A big app that we'll be using next year, and one of the reasons why it's important for our administrators to have these, is the TeachPoint app that we'll be using to kind of implement or roll out the teacher evaluation, an app that will be on the iPads for administrators as they do walkthroughs and assess teacher performance. And real quickly, other special projects that happened this past year, the new network and telephone system at the central office required a lot of our time. Getting that up and running, selecting a vendor, making sure that that office was up and running, and there wasn't any delay on our part, on the technology's part, of making sure that the staff there could function right away. We also, technology department played a hand in the coordinated program review that happened this year. We kind of handled the civil rights section of that, collecting the data from schools and submitting it to the DESC on the civil rights portion of the CPR. We're rolling out lots of training as far as IPASS is concerned, and we've coordinated with our vendor, to host trainings regionally here in Oxford. Our staff get to go for free, and other people come and join us for those. We've also quoted a monthly users group meeting. Again, that's the biggest program we have, and there are so many features of that, and as they roll out new features, we want to be the first to be able to, implement those and implement them correctly. And then we also were selected by the federal government, as many districts were in our area, to do a civil rights data collection, so we're currently finishing that up before the end of the school year. As we move forward into next year, I'm looking to organize a technology team to look at the future of one-to-one programs in Oxford. Many school districts, many high schools, especially new high schools being built, are actually doing that now. Every student gets a device, and they move from class to classroom with their device. What will that look like in Oxford? Will we have that in Oxford? So that's something we want to look at as we move forward. The tablets aren't going away. Our students certainly know how to use them, and we need to see how they fit into our organization. We're looking at the possibility of developing and delivering online courses at OHS using SchoolFusion. SchoolFusion is very comparable to other online tools such as Blackboard or Angel, and we have the resources to do that ourselves, and our teachers certainly know SchoolFusion. Mrs. Daly mentioned the Rubicon Atlas curriculum mapping software. We'll begin that initiative this year, making sure that all of our teachers have the usernames and passwords, and that the program runs, and everyone has the training they need to access their curriculum for their grade level. And then we're looking to deploy an internet safety and digital awareness curriculum in all grades, K to 12. It's common sense. It's actually a free curriculum, but it will help us to better meet the requirements of the Federal Children's Internet Protection Act.
Okay.
Technology in a nutshell.
Thank you, Mr. Trahan. Questions for him? Mrs. Gosher.
Mr. Tran, how old are most of our computers in the school?
We try not to have any computers older than 6 years, and we're trying to really work with a 5-year refresh plan, which is pretty standard in districts.
Now, my other question was, you have put down on the iPads in Oxford, you've listed where 1, 2, 3 for an iPad inventory map. You're saying that you have to date, there are 33 iPads district-wide. I'm only counting 17 being used.
17 being used.
Right.
I have more than 17 lines. I'm not sure we get 17 being used.
Am I confused then where I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, that's, all you're seeing there is that, for example, Barton has 5. They're in a cart, so we label them iPad 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's all that is.
Okay.
That's all that is, yeah.
That's
So the
what
Barton School has a cart, the middle school has a cart of 5 each, and then Chafee has 3 there.
That's a portable cart that you bring into the class for classroom use, correct?
Correct. Or the cart can move around, or yes, correct. Yeah. It's just we have to have a way of, if they're a group, we have to have a way of noting which one's which.
Right. Rebel, yeah.
Just a comment. The all-call system, that's yours too?
Yep.
You get a lot, don't you?
We touch everything.
I would say just one comment. I'd like to know how we can encourage people to use it more, and for other things. It's not just for a snow day. It could be for, I think one of the Memorial Day events I forgot myself, but it could be that, just a reminder, your kid has XYZ, coming up this week, or even, a return from a vacation, so I don't know how you go about encouraging
One
that?
of the
or how do you
difficult
go about
things
training
about
for
the
that?
all-call system to date is the disconnect that it has with our student information system. So to keep it updated, especially through the winter months, we have to do a file upload. We're actually looking at IPAS actually has a call system that we're actually considering moving towards, which will allow us to filter better. So if we wanted to send something out just to the, the first grade in a specific homeroom for that, for example, we'd be able to do that. And I think that would encourage.
So we can't do that now?
We can. It's just a little bit more difficult because we have to upload a file. We have to download a file from our student information system and upload a file. So making sure that it's 100% accurate, making sure that you're not sending it to, but we'd be able to, really fine tune it. For example, in IPAS, we can say that this group of students belongs to the ski club. We can't do that in Global Connect. We can do grade level and we can do homeroom, but other than, we can do male, female, but other than that.
So you could do middle school and car barn?
Yeah. We can do larger groups, but really to fine tune, those kids that are on the ski club or student council.
Yeah, even in the larger groups, I think, encouraging the use of something that we have already to, again, improve communication.
Absolutely, sure.
And I don't know if it's a lack of training that administrators or teachers have with using this system, or if it's just that in the past
I think in
it's
some
been
cases,
difficult.
I don't know if it's training because most of those calls are centralized anyways.
Okay.
I think some of it has to do with fear of overuse and there are some districts that send out almost nightly calls and we want people to pay attention, but I think it's maybe a matter of opinion on how that gets done.
I may be in the minority, but I think over-communicating is never a problem.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Trainer? I do have a question and a comment. Your operating systems, you see, why use, maybe I don't understand, but XP and Windows 7, is that on two separate series of machines? And then I see at Office you have using 3 different versions of Office.
Right. Depends on the age of the machine.
Okay.
So all of our new machines are purchased with Windows 7. So that's the operating system that we are kind of is our standard now.
Yeah.
But we still do have lots of machines that are Windows XP. So right now we're supporting 2 operating systems, which actually is great. When I first started, I think we had 7 of them. So to have 2 standard operating systems is great. Some of the older machines won't allow us to install Office 2007 or 2010, but Office 2010 is now our standard. So as new machines come in, we install Office 2010 for compatibility with documents that are coming in.
Excellent. And then just a comment, when you talked a little bit about that DESE audit, and just listening to you, you definitely have your hand down there, and it is a very well coordinated effort from what I see. And I could probably imagine that DESE probably saw the detail that comes from Oxford and probably hand-selected us.
I think they did in part. They weren't
Because they
going to
know
find too many things.
the work that you do and the work that your whole team does, putting everything together in that fine attention to detail. I thank you for that. I think we all look good when the technology works. Everyone looks good. Thank you. Anything else? I would entertain a motion to accept Mr. Trahan's report. Technology. So moving to second.
Second.
Moving to second, discussion. Being none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Being none, the report is accepted. Okay. At this stage, I believe we have gone through all the reports. And again, I want to thank each and every one of the administrators and the administrative team that came out tonight. It was a rather lengthy meeting. The work that you do, it shows with our students. It shows the dedication that you have, and to the fact that these reports took 185 days or more to compile. And I say that, I know you go 180 days, but those 5 snow days that happen that be built in there, this is when this stuff gets done, I'm sure, when you have no kids in the building. And numerous times, you drive by a building, and you see a couple cars there on a snow day, and that's the administrators coming in or they're at home doing the extras, and we really appreciate it. And it shows in these reports tonight, the length, the detail, and your commitment to us. Thank you. Anything else for these? And then if not, I will dismiss them. Yes, Mrs. Ravelli.
I always have another comment.
Go right ahead.
I would just like to bring this forth one more time. I'll bring it forth every year, I guess. That we think about next year and not doing this all in one evening. As you just said, all of these people worked long and hard to present something to us, which we had 2 days to read, when the sun was out and it was 80 degrees after a week of rain. So, to give them the attention that they should be given, can we, entertain planning this over a few meetings next year? And that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, something we can talk about as we go through. But I think you're right. I think that there's so much concept and so much education for us as board members from what you do every day in your jobs. And to really appreciate it, I think that's a great comment, Mr. Ravelli, and we'll remember that next year after we
I'll
set this
remember.
through.
I'll remind you.
I'll remember too.
Sammy will too.
If we get these in early, the whole month of June, right after May and June, right after graduation, we just concentrate on these reports and get them out. And then we know that you have summer schedules and all that too. Let's get them done.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
there is also the possibility that this provides an arena for all of them to hear each other. And I think that can be a great asset to any system.
That's correct. There's definitely two ways to look at that. So I guess we'll leave it up to your team, Ms. Hillenberger, that they'll do their homework and maybe they can come up with a schedule on how they want to present their reports to the board. So we'll have Mrs. Walker's comments, Mr. Ravelli's comments, and you can sort it out and get the recommendation on what's going to work for the board. Great. Okay, sir. You are all dismissed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye now.
Wish I was behind you.
We'll be quick.
I'm not kidding.
I'm doing it.
I have to get my hot medicine if you want to keep me ticking. Let's go.
Okay, Mr. SWCC report. Your representative.
As many of you know, the collaboratives that serve our students across Massachusetts have come under scrutiny, given a huge shortage of funds at Merrimack Valley, which is one of the biggest collaboratives in the state. Because of that, we have Chapter 43 of the Acts of 2012, an act relative to improving accountability and oversight of education collaboratives. Oxford belongs to the Southern Worcester County Collaborative, along with 13 other member districts. And the bylaws say, along with all of the other stuff that we have to do, that each year the school committee needs to appoint a representative. And in years past, it could be another professional staff member. Now they've said we want the superintendent accountable. So it's just the housekeeping that you need to appoint me, and I guess I can share that for some reason they appointed me to chair, if I'm appointed, the board of directors for the upcoming year for Southern Worcester County. And we just named a new director, and I think that will continue to serve us very well in the future. But I just need the committee to appoint me, superintendent, as the representative for Oxford for the upcoming year.
So a motion to appoint Alan Mulberger as Southern Worcester County Educational Collaborative Representative.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none.
One at the meetings.
Mr. Chairman, all those in favor, please say aye. In favor, aye. Opposed, abstentions, no? Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and that just, Mrs. Ravelli, is important to capture in the minutes, because that's what they will either thumbs up or thumbs down when they
Somebody's out there knocking.
look at it. It'll be dry by the time we're out of here. No. Joke, it was a joke.
Okay, thank you. Let's move forward. The next item, new positions request that has been, that will be held to a further meeting. Correspondence, Mr. Himmelberger.
Very quickly, as you saw from the reports from all of the administrators, we do have a committed and dedicated team. We are not perfect. We know we have areas to improve, and we will get there. We will improve throughout the district. We have an awful lot going on. We have professional development that we're offering voluntary to our staff after school gets out next week, the 19th through the 22nd, and we've had over 100 folks sign up for courses. And that's, at the end of a long year. So that to be commended. Between our DSAC and our Race to the Top, our curriculum initiatives, our writing programs, we have a lot on our plates. And we know what we need to improve on, and we will. So that's all I need to say there. As everyone knows, the Oxford boys baseball team, Central Mass champs, again. We're trying to figure out, Mrs. Kocher and I, when the last time was, but it's been a while. And they play tomorrow night for the right to play in the state title game.
83 and 86 last time.
There you go. There you go. And so, and also we have a track athlete, Emily DeWidzik, who finished second in the 200 meters for all of New England and third in her other event. So Oxford should be proud. And we are looking forward to attacking and working on the problems that we have in front of us. And as you can see by tonight, it won't be for lack of effort or lack of a dedication, because as Mr. Coonan said, these folks do care about every one of our kids, and we will get it where we want it to be. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, subcommittees and study groups. Anything come out of subcommittees? Mrs. Revelle, yeah. You're the only one right now. You're the only subcommittee right now, so.
I know. We had our last meeting on Wednesday.
Yep.
And we have a group of teachers who are looking to begin working on revising the report card so that they better reflect the new Common Core. And looking forward to trying to implement as a club or activity of sorts for Lego robotics at the middle school.
Wonderful. Wonderful. For our next meeting, we do have to make those subcommittee appointments, and if you just could communicate either through Alan or to myself what you would be interested, some of your interests are, if you have any interest to serve on subcommittees, and then I can make those appointments. Okay, and again, you just what you may be interested in. Some of you may decide some they don't want to, and that's fine. What you're interested in, and then I'll try and sort them out as they come through and make sure we fill our subcommittees. Okay, and Superintendent.
Just real quickly, I know everyone signed this copy, this page, which is 31, but I also have 41 and 42. If you could just sign those. 41 speaks to all the side letters of agreement. 42 is the MOA regarding the educator evaluation, Massachusetts model of collective bargaining, which is getting mucho press as they're now negotiating with StandForChildren.org about the upcoming referendum. So it's just each one of these pages needs a signature on it to complete the contract. So there's just 2 more in that whole set.
You sure?
That's it. I'm telling you.
Hand me those two.
As we're going through the agenda. Also forgotten so far is Mr. Matthew, and as Mrs. Ennis spoke about all the work that we did on the contracts, Mr. Matthews' credibility and his analysis was very key in achieving this contract, and I wanted to thank Rich for all his hard work behind the scenes.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go right to him. He's not forgotten. He's up.
Just one piece of good news, even though it's been a long time in coming, we do have finally official approval that the MSBA has approved the middle school project.
Wonderful.
We will be going ahead with the roof replacement this summer. A schedule will come to the school committee at its next meeting, although work will have already started. And we look forward to next summer, where we have a lot of work to do at the middle school.
When is the next meeting, if I might, Mr. Chairman?
We are looking at June 25th.
No, I mean, OMS Building Committee?
This Thursday, the 14th.
Oh, it is, that's right.
Yes.
Thank you.
As this is being as these is being signed, I'm going to jump in as it was one of my requests, but Mr. Mathaw brought it up, and I don't know. It seems that wherever I go, the phone calls I get, people seem to don't know who they are. All they want to talk about is the school calendar.
Yeah.
In terms of 3 days, how, you're taking away my vacation just for 3 days. It's a little more into that. And so I'm gonna yield that, you, Alan, or Mr. Mather, both of you can, to put it out there. I know you have it on the website. There's so many communications going out there. Just one more time, and to really, I guess, talk about that it's not, that what goes on that week. It's not 3 days of education. If you just put a little, something thorough out there.
Website.
Put it out there, and
That's fine.
And if you could just talk about it tonight, it's just one more avenue. Go ahead.
The first day of school for all students is Wednesday, August 22nd. It seems early because of the number on that date, but that's been the week that we have gone back over the last several years in anticipation of all that bad weather we had back in '06 and '07, the ice storms. But there's a secondary reason for it this year, and I know that some people have to cut short, those 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But it allows us to get out next June as early as possible because we need 11 weeks next summer to finish the middle school projects. This year, we're only doing the roof. We can do that in 8 weeks, or so they tell me. But next year, we have the HVAC upgrades, which requires taking out the unit ventilators in every classroom. It's piping and controls from the boilers all the way through the building. It's replacing all of the windows, all of the doors, installing a new floor, and then that building will truly be ready to serve the town for another 40 or 50 years. So, but it's because of that fact that I think, and maybe we didn't articulate that well to everybody, but certainly from what the administration came up with, that gave us the most flexibility. And if you look at this past year, who would have thought we would use all 5 storm days by November 2nd? So the weather has gotten wackier. It's also gotten warmer. And there are 2 schools of thought, but everybody that I have talked to in education would prefer to teach on a hot August day than a hot June day. And so I know there are folks who love their summers and don't want public education to start until after Labor Day. We just didn't have that luxury this year because of the building project. And certainly it would be an impossibility just to run separate schedules for the middle school with our transportation being what it is. So that's the rationale for it. I know that it doesn't make everybody happy, but unfortunately, that's what we're stuck with for this year. Hopefully they remember next summer, when it's a lengthy summer, and they're out early and they're starting later, that it's for the long-term greater good of the district to have that building up to snuff for us.
Right. And also, those upgrades are not upgrades that could happen when school's in session, that no one can be in the building.
Correct.
When they're going through and what they may find when they get in there, you never know. And it's going to be for the safety of everyone, for our staff, for our students. So thank you, and if we could just articulate that as best we can get it out there. And we're all going to get calls on it again, I'm sure we will. It's not the end of it.
Refer them to you.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
Well, and
No, I'm just kidding.
certainly have them call me, I have them call me.
Thank you. Okay, we're all set here, and school committee, Mrs. Osher, of course, tonight, anything.
I would just like to say that the high school graduation, it was an honor to hand out diplomas to the kids. It got a little chilly and rainy, but it was a pretty beautiful moment when this rainbow came out behind the kids, the graduating kids, and I truly enjoyed the evening, and I will be tomorrow night, I believe, at the NJROTC, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Thanks, and that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Ravelli.
It's been a busy few weeks, hasn't it? I'd say the latest one was the honor of making my first ever speech at the National Junior Honor Society, which it is nice to have that under my belt now, although it was not on my bucket list. And what else? All of the end of the year activities, they're almost over. I can't remember half of the places I've been, quite honestly. And other than that, I think whatever else we can save till next meeting.
Very good.
Because
Thank you. Mrs. Ennis?
Thank you. I enjoyed also Mrs. Ravelli's debut as a public speaker. She was very good. She did a nice job at the National Junior Honor Society ceremony at the middle school. That was a wonderful event. I look forward to those events. Those two, the high school and the middle school, probably two of my favorites. Look forward also to the OMS recognition, where my 8th grader will be becoming a freshman. So, and all the students, of course, I look forward to that. And I look forward to participating in that event. If I might, Mr. Chairman, I do have a statement for the record that I am going to make this evening, and I will pass it to Mrs. Ravelli. This can be included in the regular meeting minutes. For the record, I would like to reiterate my position on this committee. I cannot recall the last time I have been questioned about the motives of this committee and myself. Since the last election, I am questioned regularly about statements being made of cleaning house or fixing the school system and accountability. I want to say without any hesitation, I will not be part of any cleaning of house other than my own, and I certainly will not fix our school system. As far as accountability goes, I hold myself accountable for any and all decisions I make. I will continue to pursue proper policy and procedure, continue to work with the superintendent and colleagues as to the best practices for our children in our schools, not only a select few. The role and responsibility of members of this committee are set by Chapter 71 of the Massachusetts General Laws and should be followed as they have been for many years. None of us should be so naive to believe this position is more important or holds administrative duties. It absolutely does not. For the first time in my 9 years, I am very apprehensive, Mr. Chairman, as the integrity and confidentiality of this committee. For the past 9 years, I have served this community and its children with only the best intentions at the forefront of every decision I have ever made, and I will vehemently continue to do so. I refuse to be part of any acts of collusion, deception, or unfounded statements. If it's not from my voice, then it is hearsay. Accountability and transparency, as we know, are the best avenues for us to follow. The recent attacks on my character and statements being made that I acted inappropriately will not go unaddressed. Should this continue, Mr. Chairman, I will request through you to the superintendent that the Massachusetts Board of Ethics conduct a full investigation of this current sitting committee and its members. Disagree with me? Absolutely. Attack my decisions? Absolutely. But to make false statements as to the dealings that I have had with anyone in this district will not go ignored. I learned a valuable education while working with those who have the best interests of all students in this district, and we are going to be put on the fast track to becoming a Level 2 district. Mrs. Ravelli, Mr. Spitz, Mrs. DeWitzik, Mrs. Coonan, Mr. Peterson, our colleagues who all understand that and worked with that measure in mind. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Duly noted, and for the record.
Thank you.
Anything further, Mrs. Ennis?
No, that's it. Thank you
Mr.
very
Walker, you have the
much.
floor.
I have no special comments, except it has been a very interesting evening listening to the administrators. I feel very enriched.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Okay, I have a couple brief things. First, I received a very nice letter. Actually, it was a copy of a letter from Gina Riley, president of the Huguenot Memorial Society of Oxford, and it was to Principal Hackett at the middle school, and it was special words of recognition, and involved a brief description of the Huguenot Memorial Society, and they had given out some cash awards with that. So I'll read it briefly into the record. On behalf of dear Mrs. Hackett, on behalf of the Huguenot Memorial Society, I wish to take this opportunity to express our appreciation to you for the hospitality extended to us in the Memorial Day program. We also recognize the special effort extended by teachers such as Judy Hodgney and others in order to coordinate such a well-done program. We were very impressed with the students who participated in the program and then joined us later for the delicious refreshments. The entire assembly was a credit to everyone at the middle school. I've enclosed a brief description of the Huguenot Memorial Society, that cash awards of $100, $75, and $50 can be given out annually as a credit to many longtime members. Those of us newer members are determined to carry on that tradition. In addition, I've enclosed a copy of the letter sent to the 3 students. Although Myrtle Bacon and I spoke with them after the program, we wanted to communicate directly with the families involved. It's signed Gene O'Reilly, and I'll also enter that into the minutes as well, too. As well as that, I received a note from Mrs. O'Reilly, and I know I've already dismissed our administrators, and she's asking for our 300th anniversary committee to date that, when I get this letter dated 5/30, that there was no response yet as to student involvement in the 30th anniversary of the tercentennial of the town. And so, Mr. Superintendent, if you could just follow with them from the administration. I know that during the summertime, in that it's not expected, but let them know that they are more than welcome. That they can contact Mr. O'Reilly, how they can be involved with that. And it can also be a great fundraiser for some of the programs as well, too. Okay. Trying to be quickly through this, graduation and the whole end of the year activities were absolutely wonderful. I was very impressed at the coordination that went in graduation, the hard work, the dedication of everyone involved, and I think thanks go to not just the faculty administrators, but also the president of that class, Ms. Linda Trung. The way she handled herself with dignity on how with that graduation and the respect that she received from her students. It was really something to watch. She has a great future, as all those students do. And I'd like to entertain a motion that we send a letter to her from this school committee, thanking her for what she did and for her, and wishing her well in her future endeavors, and to always be part of Oxford, and to keep that same message back to her class. Everything that was said that night. Kevin talked about Power Pride, Mr. Wells did, and he saw it there that night. A former friend of mine, still a friend, Anthony Reno, the guest speaker, he brought up the same thing, just the lessons that are learned and then given back to Oxford. And that's one of the great traditions that Oxford High does with their graduation, is to bring back an alum, build that Power Pride that Mr. Wells talked about. And so I would entertain a motion that we send a letter to outgoing class president Linda Trung, thanking her for her efforts.
So move.
And do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
Second,
Could
go
we
ahead.
also add our alumni speaker
Yes.
to the letter?
Yes.
Because he was great, he was
Yep,
wonderful.
Absolutely. 2 letters.
Yeah.
2 letters, and then there's an amendment to that. Thank you. Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? None? And she can pull that, you can pull that right off if she wants. Okay. Also, to the end of the year, Mrs. Ravelli did a wonderful job in that speaking. And just to see, as Mrs. Hackett put, the best and brightest. And we talked about the band. It's all the different accolades coming to this town. And it's nice when you open up your email or you see someone at the post office say, hey, you know, that was great what they did down there. That was wonderful. And a lot of times you know who they are. You see them. You don't know them by face, but they recognize what those kids in the schools are doing. On a closing note, I have something that I'm not proud to get, not proud to receive, and some members did. Friday afternoon, I received an anonymous letter. Absolutely disgusting. In this letter, to name people, to just the innuendos, and I will have nothing to do with that. I don't know if other board members got anything like this. Some I know did, but it is just terrible. If you have a problem with what's going on in Oxford Public Schools, and obviously this person has a keen insight, don't send us a letter. If you do send a letter, please put your name on it. Call us, let us know, because this right here, that means absolutely nothing. It's disgusting. Mrs. Ennis probably called it shameful. And it's not something that I'm part of, and not something that I will even give it any further merit beyond this to say absolutely no. Anything further in front of this board? Mrs. Ennis?
As we all know, that letter had an attachment from Quabog Regional. I don't think I understand what you're saying, that the person had a keen insight, but their insight, I think, has drifted because Quabog is looking at cutting 40 in their staff for the next school year. So I agree with you, but it was a very cowardly letter to write, to send it to us. And you know what, Dan? They've got to live with themselves. So
Right.
they got to look at themselves in the mirror, and I say good luck to that.
Thank you. Anything else in front of this board? Nothing from the floor. Open the floor, close the floor. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, none, and we are adjourned at 10:09. Thank you.
7 pages of